Hello, this is Joe Polish, president of Piranha Marketing and founder of the Genius Network interview series, and you're about to hear one of my Genius Network interviews, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this, and I hope you find it very useful. If you want to find out more information about some of the interviews and resources that can help you in your business, you can go to www.joepolish.com. And we have a Joe Polish Recommends section with all kinds of resources and vendors and services and products that we recommend that can help you in your business. And also for more useful interviews and a whole list of other people that I've interviewed, you can go to www.geniusnetwork.com. Thanks and enjoy the interview.
Hello, this is Joe Polish, Piranha Marketing and founder of the Genius Network, and today I'm going to do a fantastic conversation with a very sharp guy that has motivated literally hundreds of thousands, millions of people to become physically fit and transform their bodies. His name is Tony Horton, and he is an amazing fitness program designer that has designed some of the top fitness programs in the world. Tony, how you doing?
Joe, I am well. How are you today?
I am awesome, my friend. Let's get into it. I'm going to, first, for people that don't know who you are, if they've never watched
television. They don't know who I am.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's hard.
Dog, Joe.
It's hard to believe. It is hard to believe, but there may be someone that doesn't know who Tony Horton is. So, okay, I'm going to just go through the bio. Tony Horton is the master behind P90X, the #1 fitness infomercial in America. Over the last 18 years, Tony has shared his fitness expertise with countless individuals across the country, from professional athletes, sports teams, movie stars, and recording artists to the everyday person. Tony has helped people turn their lives around with a perfect mix of encouragement, discipline, and fun. His expertise includes post-rehabilitation training, advanced stretching, yoga, weight resistance training, cardiovascular and aerobic training, boxing and kickboxing, plus circuit, cross, and interval training. Tony's been featured in various national publications like Men's Health, Fitness, People, and Self, and has made multiple appearances on national TV, including CNN, NBC, and CBS. His training techniques have produced amazing results for celebrities such as Demi Moore and her husband Ashton Kutcher, Sheryl Crow, Without a Trace's Poppy Montgomery, Pink, former New York's Giant Carl Banks, and current Philadelphia Eagle David Ackers, who credits the P90X Extreme Home Fitness program with helping him set the NFL record for most consecutive postseason field goals. Tony's best-selling programs include P90X, which sold well over, it's in the couple million range, Power 90, One-on-One with Tony Horton, Power Half Hour, Tony and the Kids for kids ages 5 to 12, Tony and the Folks for senior citizens, and Great Body Guaranteed. His time-savings 10-minute trainer is a breakthrough program for the busiest people that features 10 minutes workouts that are short on time but long on results. And as Tony says, bring it. So there's your bio. I mean, that's the only thing I'm going to read.
That's me? Holy cow.
Yeah, I mean, what else have you done here?
Busy.
Well, I mean, it seems like you should have accomplished more than this. So what are the latest things that you've been doing that I didn't say anything about here?
Well, there are some things in the works. I'm working with Rodale on a book encompassing my philosophies and my hopes and dreams for the country, so that they can begin to really get in shape and stay in shape. You know, that's sort of the key. I think so often we get lost in the weight loss only for a short period of time, so that we can look nice and addressed in front of a bunch of people who don't care because they're too busy caring about themselves. You know, so I'm trying to get away from that in the book, and the book is like a 3-tiered fitness program, depending on your level, depending on your lifestyle, depending on your time, depending on your pain threshold, your biorhythms, the barometric pressure in the room. You know, we're really trying to narrow it down for individuals. I think so often you buy a book and it says, eat this food and do this thing, you know, so it pigeons people into these philosophies that might not resonate with them. So, you know, like I do with my P90X, you do P90X or Power 90, and you get 3 options when you do any particular exercise. You know, there's an extreme version, there's something modified, and something in between. And I think that's why P90X is popular. That's why the one-on-one programs and 10-minute trainer are popular, because I understand that life is hard and exercise isn't fun, and eating healthy food all the time is not necessarily what people want to do. So in the book, they're going to be able to pick and choose based on who they are, and that'll be different and new. The other thing, too, I'm working on a show. It's in the very early stages. I shouldn't even maybe say anything, but, you know, we're really optimistic about this sort of health and fitness and wellness variety show. Picture Kelly and Regis, but for health and fitness, that kind of a thing. And
Oh, no, that'd be really cool.
Really cool. So, we've got a great company that's excited about it, and we're still in the early stages of that, and I've got my fingers crossed. So that would be another way to sort of break through. The Biggest Loser has its value. It's a very entertaining show, and you see these magnificent transformations. I will say that I don't particularly care for the technique in that show. I want to do something that's a little bit different. So that's what's happening. And, of course, the one-on-one workouts are always going on. We shoot 1 or 2 of those a month, and you can get those through a subscription through beachbody.com. And people seem to really, really love those because it's just me and a cameraman up in my gym, and I'm hawking loogies and going crazy and just being myself, because these are my workouts. This is what I do, and basically we just bring a camera in the room, and when you get the thing at home, it's a matter of just playing catch up.
Well, I just started working out to the one-on-one things because I was down at beachbodies.com with Jonathan and Carl, and what I will say, they gave me a set there. I didn't even actually have to purchase these ones. And the cool thing is that when you walk around Beachbodies, I've worked in a lot of big companies and a lot of health-related stuff and nutrition, and there are a tremendous amount of people in that organization that are in incredible shape because they watch your videos and they work out. And I think it's a testament to the value of what it is that you guys are producing and putting out there. And before we get into it, I'm going to ask you about how people can get in shape, what are the roadblocks with working out and eating right and all of the excuses that people make and how to do it and that sort of stuff. But I will just say that I've worked out with some of the top athletes and fitness people in the world. My clients know that I've done a tremendous amount of stuff with Bill Phillips, author Body for Life. I've worked out with, crazy football players like Bill Romanowski. I've world record power lifters, famous UFC fighters, top martial artists, yoga masters, professional dancers, rock stars, tons of personal trainers in my career that I've had, you name it. And I've never had better, more consistent workouts than I get with your workouts that are on DVD. So that's why I wanted to interview you.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, I wanted to, get it from the horse's mouth, because you really the cool thing about Beachbodies and the workouts you put together, they're the very few infomercials that sell exercise-related stuff where they actually expect people to do the workouts and use the stuff. And you guys produce things for people that really work out, not someone that's going to, hang their clothes on a piece of crappy exercise equipment. So, it's good stuff. And so I want people listening, if they've never done any of these workouts, I'm going to encourage you to go to beachbody.com and actually invest in them. But I first want you to hear what Tony has to say, because if you currently use his workouts, fantastic. This will be an enhancement. And if not, I wanted to introduce him to my world and people that know me, because it will, this is not just about looking better. This will make your life tremendously more valuable. And if you don't take time to work out and take care of your body now, you will take time for it out later with poor health. And so that's why it's so important. How old are you right now, Tony?
I'm 51.
51, and you're still in incredibly awesome shape. Do you plan on carrying on the rest of your life like this, I imagine, right?
Well, when I was younger, I was kind of thin and out of shape. I couldn't run up and down a basketball court. I couldn't do 15 push-ups. But I was thin. I didn't have a weight loss problem, So when I was in college, I took a weightlifting class. I was even on the football team in high school, but I didn't play very much because, I wasn't very skilled. I wasn't very fast. I wasn't very strong, but I just barely made the team. But the one thing I discovered in this weightlifting class at the University of Rhode Island, my alma mater, was that when I lifted weights, because that's all it really was, it was the use of dumbbells, and back in those days it was Nautilus, was sort of the big machine. It was a brand new machine. I enjoyed the feeling of being strong, and I enjoyed the look, and that was basically, those were the only two reasons why I exercised back in those days. But as my fitness career progressed, and I'll get into that maybe later in the interview of how all that got started, I discovered things about regular exercise that changed everything about other aspects of my life, mentally, not of course physically, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually, with yoga and some other things. So I just love feeling good. I love looking good. I love feeling good. I love having the ability to do things physically that I couldn't do at 41 or 31 or 21. At 51 years old, based on the philosophy that I still follow, that is in P90X, I'm as strong as I have ever been. Maybe I might not be as fast running-wise. I think if there's one area that I've kind of lost a hitch a little bit is speed. But then again, I did run the bases pretty quick in softball the other day. So, but as overall strength, I used to do, go to the gym and lift some weights. I do chest for an hour and a half, and with a lot of dead time in between. And maybe I got my chest strong that way. But now I can do 40 push-ups on 4 medicine balls, which people look at me and think I'm crazy. Is that a workout or is that Cirque du Soleil? What the hell are you doing? And I can do swing handstands on parallel bars at 51 years old. And I could do muscle ups on gymnastics rings, which I couldn't do 5 years ago. So, the key with me, and of course it's in P90X and one-on-one, is to always stay curious, and focus more on getting better and understanding that some things are very, very difficult at the beginning, but with practice and consistency and patience, it's amazing what the human body can do no matter what age. And if you look at the before and after pictures and the stories that we get in from people around the country, it's mind-bending. This one kid lost 190 pounds doing Power 90 and P90X. I mean, he didn't do it in 90 days, but he did it in about a year and a half. Somebody who could barely get up a set of stairs and now is in top physical condition. I mean, he looks like a triathlete. Another kid, Sterling Purdy, great name. I love that name.
Yeah, exactly. Sterling Purdy.
Sterling Purdy. He sounds like a movie star, a rock star, or a football player. He was only about 45 pounds overweight, but still that's a lot of weight to lose. So he lost his 45 pounds. He also got off his asthma medication for the first time since he was a kid. He got off his depression medication because he didn't need it anymore because of all the, the shift in brain chemistry as a result of working hard. He's also off of his 2 high blood pressure medications and his diabetes medication. So, here's a guy taking a handful of pills every day to solve his problems, which were only creating more problems, and he decides to do a fitness program. And he doesn't need those pills anymore, and he's on top of the world, and he started his own health and fitness blog, and he's paying it forward and helping other people. I mean, it's amazing.
What do you think that's all about? Let me just kind of ask you that. And again, we're not giving anyone medical advice here to say quit taking your meds. The reality is sometimes the best things that someone could do for depression is maybe not seeing a therapist. It's maybe getting yourself into the gym and making your body feel good and creating all the feel-good chemicals that happen when you exercise and building confidence that way. But what do you think is happening when someone, because that does happen, people, like you just said, I mean, what took place in that guy's body and in his mind as a result of exercise and what you instruct him to do that created that?
Yeah, I have this seminar called Purpose and a Plan, and what I'll do is I'll have I'll have a big board up in the front of the room, and then I'll shout out to the group. I'll say, "What's your reason why? Why do you exercise?" Right? So people start calling out reasons why, and of course now there are 2 categories. There's a look good or aesthetic or ego-based reason for some people. And then there's the life-changing reasons why. So typically it's a 50-50. When you start asking people why do you exercise, and I want to look better in a dress, I want to lose weight. That would be the ego-based reasons. I want to look good. I want to look good in front of my friends, or you name it. There's all kinds of ego-based reasons why. And then the other side is, of course, I want improved cognition. I want better memory. I can play with my kids. All the reasons that really relate to improving the quality of people's lives. And so if you look into it a little bit, John Ratty's got a great book called Spark, and if you read Spark, you'll discover that intense, especially cardiovascular exercise, intense exercise, regular exercise, changes your brain chemistry. We talk about runner's high, right? Well, what is that? It's sort of this obscure term that most people can't relate to. But when you read John Ratty's book, you realize that every time you inhale large amounts of oxygen as a result of exerting your body physically, you're releasing norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, and this great thing called BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotropic factor. Now, there's a little area inside of your temporal lobe called the hippocampus, and inside the hippocampus is something called the dentate gyrus. And every time you work out for 20 minutes or more with any kind of intensity, and that's what P90X is. If you look at, even the weight resistance routines, you do your pull-ups, you do your push-ups, you do your push-ups, you do your pull-ups. I mean, there's not a whole lot of downtime, Right. You're constantly moving, you're constantly breathing. You're the pace is much quicker than you would see in a gym with a trainer, where you're sitting there and you're working the bench press, and then you go off and smoke a cigarette, and then your buddy does his thing. So this is my programs are very intense and they're very high paced. So as a result, there's high amounts of this norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, and brain-derived neurotropic factor that are released to the brain. So when that happens, your cognition improves, your learning capacity improves, your memory improves, you're reversing You're reversing the aging of both the mind and the body. Your mood improves. There's a decrease in anxiety. These are simple things that most Americans suffer from because of lack of movement and eating sugar, fat, and salt all the time, right? So Sterling Purdy and my buddy that lost 190 pounds, without even having to be told this, just inherently sense it and they feel it. I mean, the bottom line is, looking good is great, but that's not about you. That's about what you want other people to think of you. Feeling great is ultimately the reason why I think people use P90X. It's both. I mean, come on, we're in America. It's all about looking good, too. But I think people stick with it because they like the fact that their lives improve. I mean, physical activity, regular physical activity, at least in my opinion, is truly the foundation for a better life. And people get hooked. They get hooked to that. I'd rather have them get hooked to that than drugs or alcohol or fatty food, Or also, there's another dirty little secret in our industry, and they clump us all together, and we belong on opposite ends of the playing field. There's the weight loss industry, and there's the health and fitness industry, and they're completely different. I mean, you look at television, and they have these paid celebrities on there. I'm not going to name any names. It's not maybe proper to do that here, but there are these weight loss pills, potions, and processed foods endorsed by celebrities, so you can lose weight. Now, losing weight is a piece to the overall health and fitness puzzle, but when you just lose weight, you're still vulnerable to getting hurt. You're not any stronger. You're not any faster. Your cardiovascular capacity hasn't improved. Your flexibility hasn't improved. You're just as vulnerable to getting ill. Maybe there's a few things that you won't get. Maybe your diabetes has improved or your blood pressure has improved because of weight loss. But the fact of the matter is that weight loss is not the reason to focus. That's not where you should put your focus. Your focus should be, do I want to be a better, more productive, happier human being? And that comes with eating fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins and healthy fats and finding ways to make those things taste good. And regular 5 to 6 days of exercise, period. That's why P90X, an extreme in-home boot camp, sells $1 million on QVC. Why would P90X sell $10 on QVC? They got muumuu dresses on before I go on, and they got dashboard jewelry after I go on. There's no reason why the demographic at QVC should be buying that much P90X. It's because it works like gangbusters, and it's because there are people who are watching, who have friends and families who have done P90X and gotten amazing results, who have lost a ton of weight. Yeah, great, but they're also happy, and they're strong, and they're living the life that they should be as a result of making these choices.
Yeah, and I will say that when I first bought P90X, I literally, which lots of people do, I didn't jump into it right away, and I'm in a fortunate situation where I have a personal trainer, and I actually utilize my personal trainer very infrequently now because my preferred way of working out is P90X. But for a while, like first 3 months, I really didn't even look at it. And once I started, I was like, Jesus, these are fantastic workouts. And the funny thing that triggered it for me is I have I shouldn't even call him a massage therapist. It's a guy that actually works on like injuries and stuff when your body's all hosed up and tweaked out. And his name's Dave Matthews. He's not the singer though, but he's amazing.
You got Dave Matthews who gives you massages? Wow.
Yeah, could you imagine? And he was working on, like, my shoulder was just like really tweaked one day, and we were talking, and he said, he goes, I have a client that is stayed in pretty killer shape, and this person has just transformed his body literally in the span of 4 weeks. And I asked him, I was like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, he said P90X. And I go, it's funny. I go, Dave, I have a set. I haven't even used it. And when he said that, though, that's when I actually finally watched the damn videos and started doing the workouts. And at this time, I was going and see my personal trainer, 3-4 times a week. I'm a guy that does yoga typically 2 to 3 days a week. I can put my, feet behind my head. I mean, I'm a flexible dude. And, and I lift. I'm not huge, but I lift, and I've always worked out for, most of my adult life. And when I got into it, I was like, this is one of the most sound, amazing workouts like ever. The warm-ups are fantastic. The stretching is fantastic. It's intense. It's hard, and the results are absolutely incredible. And I'm a guy that has access to a lot of, I'm a member of 2 gyms. I got a personal gym in my house. And I mean, you literally can do this in a small, tiny area, in front of a computer screen or a TV with, bands and a pull-up bar. I mean, if you need to. and it's just a great workout. And since I've been doing this for several months now, that, of course, is what led to me wanting to just do an interview with you and talk to you about it, because I want to introduce a lot of people that aren't doing this. It is a great workout, but you said a couple of things. You said, working out 6 days a week. There is no magic, bullet to this sort of thing. I mean, you're going to have to exercise, and I love the distinction between the weight loss industry and the health and fitness industry, because what I think happens at Beachbody is, like in the marketing business, you sell people what they want, you give them what they need, at least if you're going to treat them with ethics and you're going to create value. There's a lot of weight loss people that sell people what they want, lose weight, but they don't really give them what they need. They don't tell them that if you're going to maintain this and get in health, it's not about popping a pill. It's not about fantasizing that you're going to instantly sit on your couch and become amazingly healthy. That's a dream world. It's a lie. It's a fantasy. It doesn't. People literally are going to have to put in the work. Whereas you guys, you're very good at compelling people to buy and get in great shape, but the beauty is you actually deliver an amazing, fantastic product. So let's talk about how to, this one question, and I want to talk to you about your purpose and plan that you have and different things that you teach. Is there a good answer to what's the fastest way to get into incredible shape? Because initially, people would love to buy into that, the fastest way to get in incredible shape.
The thing to keep in mind when that question is asked is ultimately, is that really the question? What is your purpose for wanting to get into shape fast? Everybody's at a different starting point. If you're a 27-year-old ex-gymnast with 15 pounds to lose because you haven't worked out in a year and a half, you're in a completely different starting point than somebody who's 50, who's got 100 pounds to lose, who's never worked out a day in their life. So these two people, if they both ask me that same question, the answer is going to be very different. The person who's out of shape, who's never exercised before a day in their life, my question is, it doesn't matter about the speed. What matters is your consistency. I've written these 11 laws of health and fitness, the first being variety, consistency, intensity, but number 2 is consistency. Your only focus is to show up today, because the past is history and the future is a mystery, so all you can do is affect, the positive things that can happen to you today as a result of you exercising today. So, if you're consistent, you're going to improve your health, you're going to improve your fitness, you're going to improve the quality of your life, you're going to become less vulnerable to illness and injury, and all those, you're going to get all 5 of those really critical, amazing things today. You might not look ripped or be super fast or, today. That's going to happen, maybe 60, 90, 120, 500 days from now. I don't know what it is, but why not focus? That's what I tell people. I say, when it comes to planning a purpose, we'll get into the plan in a minute, but when it comes to purpose, stop caring about what you think other people think of you, and stop thinking about, okay, I have to lose X amount of pounds in this period of time so that I can fit into a dress at a wedding. This stuff doesn't work. It never has. It works temporarily for people with huge egos who can be consistent with their fitness purely based on their looks. If you're a model or if those things matter to you and that motivates you, rock on. I say fine. If it's all about ego-based purpose, and that keeps you, by the way, the after effects are all those other amazing things that happen to you. But if you can't be consistent and you find yourself struggling and you find yourself trying to buy into these weight loss only programs so that you can lose weight and look good in a short period of time, and you're fighting that horrible battle year after year after year, you lose the weight and you gain it back plus some and you lose it again. Your new purpose should be, if I work out today, my health improves today. If I work out today, my fitness, it might not be noticeable, but you're breaking down cells in the muscle, in the connective tissue, and it's going to reform in a slightly stronger way. So you are improving your fitness. You are improving the quality of your life because you're dumping this dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, and brain-derived neurotropic factor into your brain every time you exercise, which changes your complete outlook about life. And the other thing too, I'm 51 years old. I work out because people at my age are very vulnerable, especially between 50 and 75, are very vulnerable to getting injured. People bend over, pick up their cat, they blow out their back, they can't move for 6 weeks. I'm doing plyometric.
You ever done that with a cat, Tony?
Never done that. I don't have a cat purposely for that reason.
You blow out your back.
I pull out my back and I'll sneeze all day long. And the other thing too is I don't want to get sick and hurt. And look at the nightly news. It's all about pharmaceutical advertising because everybody is sitting at home screwed up. And it's amazing that some physical activity and some healthy food can turn all that around. And so that's what I tell people. I said if you want to get fit fast, P90X is going to work. It's going to work phenomenally well. But what's going to keep you in the game? What's going to happen when day 90 comes and goes? And why are you getting why are you getting in shape fast anyway? Like, what's your reason? Is your reason because you want to become a better softball player, or a better skier, or a better athlete, or be able to hang with your kids because they're really active? These are reasons why you should be wanting to exercise, not so that you can look a certain way in 90 days.
Well, I'd like to zone in on that for people that really cannot get clear on their purpose or haven't even really thought about it. How do you guide and direct people in that thinking? Because I know you teach a whole program on that, purpose and plan. We talked about that earlier before we even started the interview. How do you help someone determine what that is? I mean, are some people just hopeless and it just is not going to? They just don't have the juice for this?
No, I don't know. I mean, I think there's some people that are. Some people just absolutely hate to sweat. They hate physical activity. They hate feeling uncomfortable because, think if it's going to work, it's going to be hard, and there's going to be a certain amount of discomfort involved. But it doesn't have to be to the point where it's so excruciating every time that it's just too daunting. Like I did a workout at Andrews Air Force Base outside of D.C. last week. And the whole the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, the Marines. I mean, there's every branch of the military is using P90X. They're using it in bases all around this country: Afghanistan, Iraq, Korea, Japan, Italy.
Wait. Let's say. I want everyone to really hear what you just said. I mean, that's pretty significant. You've got a large portion of the military using your workout program to stay physically fit. I mean, that's pretty important, I would say.
I've been back and forth to Washington 3 times, and I've done 3 congressional workouts. We go to the congressional gym, and members of Congress come in. There's these 2 guys, Paul Ryan and Heath Shula, one a Democrat, one a Republican, and they've crossed the political barrier there to hang out with each other, and they have this tremendous gym, the congressional gym in Washington, with all this equipment and all. And they have karate instructors and everything else. These 2 guys have started this trend over at the congressional gym. They took a pull-up bar and they screwed it into the wall in the hallway, and they have a little TV set up on a table. So they have this, now, 30 feet behind them, there's this tremendous full-facility gym, and these guys are doing P90X in the hallway. All right? So other members of Congress are seeing that they're getting results above and beyond anything that they're doing in the gym. So they've started this cult. And the first time I think I was there were maybe 14 members of Congress after these, and then it got bigger, and it gets bigger every time. I think the last time there were about 30 people. And so now they're nailing pull-up bars all down the hallway, and, they're putting up a big screen TV, and they're turning the basketball court into a P90X room for congressmen. So, it goes to show you that regardless of who you are, whether you're a congressman or you're Ashton Kutcher or Demi Moore or Sheryl Crow or and the list of professional football, basketball, and baseball players is as long as my arm too. I can go down that list as well. But I have a cousin, David Cincarelli. He's a health and wellness lobbyist in Washington, and he would email me starting about 2 years ago. He would say, "Man, you've got to come out here. Everybody's doing this. I'm meeting people at various events here in D.C. The commander, Colonel Shepro, who was in Afghanistan and Iraq, made his troops use P90X. They had scheduled P90X workouts on the base. And then he's the commander at Andrews. I mean, he's the guy that makes sure that Air Force One is maintained and Air Force Two, and that all these diplomats who are coming in from around the world, and whenever the president or vice president or secretary of state or gets on a plane, these guys, this is an extremely secure facility outside of Washington. They invited me to come because they have regular, daily P90X group classes on the base. And so we worked it out. My cousin David worked it out with them, and they had several meetings. And, you go there, and there's 30,000 people on this base, 30,000 airmen and women on this base. They had 4 tennis courts. They took all the nets down. 4 tennis courts means there's 8 people who are being active, right? So they took them all down, and I did a workout with about 300 airmen and women. And a vast majority of them are using either P90X or Power 90 or one-on-one. But a lot of them aren't. So the idea was to have me come and sort of introduce. I do a routine whenever I'm traveling called UCML, which is an acronym for Upper Cardio Middle Lower. So it's a routine where You do some kind of push-up. There's a wide variety. You do anywhere between 3 and 5 rounds. We did 5 rounds plus a bonus round because they wanted one because, they're insane.
Right.
So there's an upper body move. Of course, there's not 300 pull-up bars, so you have to do some kind of push-up. And then we do a 60-second cardio move, jumping jacks, jumping rope. If you have P90X, you know the wide variety of moves. And so I just pick one out. That's a lot of fun. And then we do a core or ab move, Mason twist, Pfeiffer scissors, whatever it is. And then we do some kind of plyometric or leg or lunge move. So the first move is maximum reps, the push-ups. The cardio is 60 seconds. The core is typically 30 reps. I pick a core move that's 30 reps. And then a leg lunge, squat, or plyo move is 30 reps. So they do 4 exercises, take a short 30-second break, 4 more, break, 4 more. We go to 6 rounds. And, all 300 of them were soaking wet, and all we needed was the human body and Mother Earth. We didn't need any equipment. And they got a full round, head-to-toe workout. And that's kind of my specialty. If you have the one-on-ones, you can see that, and this is what I've discovered. Gyms are great. I love having a bench press and a lat pull machine, and I use those things if they're available. But it's also, this is an excuse buster. I call it the warrior workout, the excuse buster workout. If there's gravity and you have a body, you can get your butt kicked. Maybe if you're on the moon or the space station, these are 2 areas that might not have enough gravity for you to do this workout for the best.
Yeah, what would you do if you were actually on the moon? I'd be curious. Would you just stretch it
I
out?
would jump all the way around that damn thing, man. It would be just wild.
Well, a lot of people. Well, first off, I should have asked you at the very beginning. P90X stands for Power 90 Extreme, correct?
Yeah.
And that originated from I guess you created Power 90 first.
Mm-hmm.
And so for people that are, and P90X is a pretty extreme fitness program. It's usually not something you would start any beginners on, correct?
That was the original intention. It was for people who, originally it was for that category of people that were paying for gym memberships and trainers and not getting results, which is probably 85% of people who go to the gym.
Right.
So typically when you have a trainer, most folks don't pay for a trainer 5 to 6 days a week. Maybe 2, maybe 3. If you're paying for a personal trainer 6 days a week, I'd be surprised. Unless you hire me to come to your home. I get Ewan McGregor ready for a film. It's every day. If I get Tom Petty ready for a tour, it's 5 days a week. But the average person, the average American, can't afford a trainer that many days a week. But you need that level of intensity for you to get results. That's why P90X works, because those P90X workouts, as intense as they are, there's a huge segment of the population that has 50, 60, 70 pounds to lose, but they're doing P90X, partly because they get caught up in the popularity of the thing. They should have maybe done Power 90 first, because those workouts are about half as long, and they're not nearly as intense, and they're purposely tiered. There's a beginner adaptive phase to Power 90, and then there's a more advanced one, so you can avoid that plateau effect. But with P90X, what we do, and the reason why it's working for people who have got a lot of weight to lose, is that they see the modified version on the DVD and just do that. They don't get caught up in the collective energy of what they see on the screen, because they can't do 15 pull-ups without a chair. But they see that there's a put your foot on a chair and do pull-ups option, so they do that. So they, which is amazing. We didn't think we would be selling, P90X to people who we originally thought shouldn't be doing it, but they're doing the modified versions of exercises, and they're being patient, and they're not getting caught up in getting fit fast or looking a certain way fast. They understand that it's steps. It's small steps over the course of a long period of time, and it requires time and patience. And that says something, because I think what I'm trying to do, and of course, I do 1 or 2 radio interviews a week, and this is what I talk about. I say, we got to stop getting caught up in the weight loss, only get quick results thing, because it's a vicious cycle that doesn't work. Let's all step back, look at the big picture, and do the thing that works.
Let me say again for the listeners is that whatever you have thought about how to exercise or what ways to do it, it literally is done. It's created. This system really does work. And usually when I do interviews, I would not be as strong of just telling people to go and buy something. I like them coming to their own conclusions if they resonate with the person that I'm talking with. In this particular case, this gets my highest endorsement. It is an awesome workout. And if you have any confusion on what to do, how to do it, it is completely and totally laid out. And there's different programs from any level of wherever you're at. And I know you had, people that are handicapped that do it, that have, challenges that a lot of people just don't have. And so there's programs available for everyone. You can get these at Beachbody. What I want to really do is get into the mindset, to help everyone with their mindset and understand, what if you're stuck? Where do you start? That sort of thing. And because I know it's really hard for people to get started. I mean, I always talk about it's a hell of a lot easier to maintain momentum than it is to create momentum. And you have some unique ways of really inspiring and encouraging people. I mean, not only are the workouts sound workouts, you're just a freaking funny, entertaining dude.
Well, my friend.
Well, and I don't want to, and again, I don't want to do that to try to be nice to you. I mean, it's just true. You're a funny dude, and you're really good at what you do.
And I think that comes from, well, first of all, I have to give Beachbody credit, partly. I work for other companies, and they have a certain, I won't name names, but they have a certain philosophy about how they feel a fitness concept or philosophy should come across. They treat exercise like rocket science. So what they're doing is they're taking something that's really physically difficult and making it boring on top. Holy crap. I mean, that's just the worst formula in the world. Time magazine's, I don't know when this came out, about 2 years ago, maybe even longer now, 5 years ago, the 10 most important trends of the millennium. And number 9 was infotainment. And that's what I do. I give people information in a way that's entertaining. And I mean, I was a stand-up comic for a couple of years, not very successful. I'm doing Joe's Cafe at 2 o'clock in the morning in Pasadena. But, it was an opportunity for me to get up in front of people and just do some jokes and have some fun and do some impressions or whatever. And that gave me, that was part of the formula for what I do now, And I also loved health and fitness, so the two came together. And then I had a TV show on cable for a while where I was a host, hosting a show. And so I was able to read, I learned how to read teleprompters. And so everything came together so that I could be this person that I am now, this health and fitness guy that likes to have a good time and tell a couple of jokes and have some fun. Because what I had as a kid didn't work. I had coaches that screamed and yelled at me and made me feel small and didn't show me any modified versions of anything. Either you ran the sprint at a certain period of time or you were a winner or you were a loser. It was all broken up into winners and losers. So you had athletes, right, growing up, and then you had everybody else who watched athletes. And so maybe none of those folks were exercising because you exercised because you wanted to be on a team so that you could score points, so that you could possibly get your picture in the paper. It was a very elite group of people that exercised.
Let me mention something you just said. So when I was growing up, I had a pretty much a sadistic Little League coach that would force me to try to hold the baseball bat in a way that I could never hit the ball. And he wouldn't do it to anyone else. And I wasn't like a little smart-ass kid. I was a skinny, shy, quiet kid when I was growing up. Very introverted, and it ruined my liking of sports. I never got into sports. It left such a negative impression in my head. It really it was bad. And so I never got into sports. So I really never started even exercising, at least lifting weights, till a little bit last year of high school, but I was also partying and doing pretty bad, destructive stuff. And it wasn't until I ended up getting a job when I was going to college at New Mexico State selling gym memberships that I really got into exercising and working out. So I never had an upbringing doing that sort of stuff, and it, a lot of these things just leave, impressions on how you think about exercise and fitness. But anyway.
But, much like me, I think you and I have, as a result, done very well in life because of those experiences. I think a lot of kids that, get a lot of smoke blown up their butt early on have a tendency to peak in high school or college, maybe, So right. I think those kind of adverse situations, I was the same way. My high school football coaches were not good guys, They treated the good players like kings, and the rest of us were just peons, But then, fortunately, maybe like you, I had an experience in college with a guy that was very patient. He explained things very clearly, very concisely. He understood that it required a period of steps. You know what I mean? If you do this and you do that, you're patient. You come back and you write down you write down what you've done. You come back and you try to beat that goal. And this is how many repetitions you do. And here's what good form looks like. And that was my first introduction, where somebody actually stopped and they said, "Hey, this is cool. I'm glad you're in my class. This is going to be great, you guys. We're going to show you how to do it. And if you do everything right, you're going to get some results at the end." he had a sense of humor. He was a guy you could hang out with and bullshit with, and that was new to me. I'm like, wow, I have a coach here that's actually a good dude that doesn't expect me to score any points here. It was really an eye opener for me.
Was that the one specific event that kind of led you into this direction, or just one of many?
Absolutely, that was it. Because when I showed up in college, I was a skier. I've been a skier since I was 5. I've been to 14 extreme ski camps, and I love the steeper, the faster, the deeper. That's what I love. So when I was a kid, I wasn't a very good skier, but I loved it because it was me against the mountain. It wasn't me against anybody else, So then I got introduced to this weightlifting class, and now I was a strong skier. I was doing squats and leg presses and things I had never done before. So it helped me be, without having to ski more. Another way you can become a better skier is you just do, it's really about mileage. It's about getting as much, many runs as possible. But now I had a combination of, getting more skiing in while also having a strong physical core and legs to bring to the mountain. That was new and exciting for me. So that was a motivator. That was probably it, because when I first showed up, I was in horrible shape. I was just a skinny kid that ate burgers and drank Dr. Peppers all day long, and just didn't know better. So,
well, now that has changed. Regarding the people at Beachbodies, Jonathan, the president, Carl, the CEO. If you were to get in a physical fight with those guys, you think you could take them?
I'd kill them both, within seconds. They would never shot.
That's good to know.
But I would never in a million years, because they have made my life an absolute dream. Carl Deichler and John Congdon are so unique in this industry. They really are. They are superstars. And I'm not saying that because they sign my royalty checks. I'm saying it because it's true. They allowed me to do my thing, with Power 90 and P90X. They said, hey, man, whatever you want to do it your way. And they have a tendency to tone me down. If you look at the difference between my energy and one-on-one and P90X, you'll see that, in P90X I'm having fun, but one-on-one I'm a mental case pretty much. I'm just whatever, baby, because it's just me and the camera, and it's really raw, and that's the whole idea. But what's really unique about these two guys is they were willing to roll the dice and take a risk on me, because they knew that what I was doing was working with these celebrities. I work with Bruce Springsteen, I work with Billy Idol, I work with a laundry list of different celebrities. So they say, hey, man, that stuff's working for them. And I think the general public would really like to know what it requires. And let's see. Of course, everybody in the infomercial industry laughed at us. They just, they just snickered and said, good luck, you guys, And we were out to prove everybody wrong. And so, now we're the biggest fitness infomercial company in the world. Nobody can touch us. Everybody else is just playing catch up. They're not even at the starting line, most of them. They can't even begin to duplicate what we've done as a result of just being honest and authentic and realistic about what it requires to get fit and healthy and maintain that health and fitness over the course of a lifetime. That's basically our mantra, so I'm thrilled that I'm part of it.
Yeah, it says a lot, too. When I've been hired to work for nutrition companies or people that may have supplements and stuff, I've always made it a policy that if you just want marketing advice on how to sell a pill, and you're not going to, tell people the truth that if you're going to transform or change yourself physically in a better way, you got to exercise. You got to eat right. There's no such thing as pop a pill. Supplements are tiny, marginal at best. If you do not, and even if you are exercising, they're not the panacea. And so, what is great about Beachbody is that there are so many people that have helped grow the following that you have, not because they watch the infomercial, but simply because of word of mouth. And word of mouth does not exist if you don't have a great product. And I can't ever remember hearing any other fitness-related thing that's sold on an infomercial with it, or anyone ever said anything positive about it. But I hear people all the time. I was doing a conference recently with 600 of my clients, and a whole boatload of them in the group use P90X, and a couple of them on stage talked about it. And it was a conference about marketing. And so, the point is, you're really out there, and it's really good stuff because, and John and Carl have done a fantastic job. People can go to the website and actually watch little clips of the making of P90X, and they're the CEO and the president doing the workouts, going through the fit tests, doing all of that stuff. So they practice what they preach, and that's why I think you guys have such a fantastic product.
dynamic and a fantastic following because you are telling people the truth, and that is really rare in in probably the weight loss industry, to use the terms you use, weight loss industry and health and fitness. There's the vast majority of stuff sold, I think, in health food stores that even call themselves quote-unquote health food stores. A lot of it's just total garbage. And, so having me said that, how, with all of the fads, all the fitness trends, all the information out there, how do you know who to trust? I mean, what do you say to your clients when they're asking you questions about, what about this, what about that? I mean, do you have a criteria of how you trust what advice that's out there?
I just tell people, think as an individual. Don't get caught up in the collective energy of a trend. You look at, I don't know what I can say here, but you look at the Mana V craze, right? Here's this, it's basically acai, a berry, and some other ingredients, and it's supposed to basically cure cancer, according to, you talk to people who rep the stuff. You look at Herbalife. Herbalife is supplements, and there's probably some great ingredients in there as well. But you cannot solve your problems purely by the things that you put in your mouth. I mean, if you were somebody that was eating fast food all the time, and then you went to a vegan diet, trust me, man, there'd be a tremendous change in your body chemistry. But what I tell people is, maybe I'll even go over my 11 laws right now. But one of my 11 laws is loving it, right? So number 9 is loving it.
Well, go through the 11 laws, too. I mean, so say what you're going to say and then take us through them.
Well, for example, we're trying to get people results, right? We're trying to give them lifelong results. We're trying to get them to be consistent. We're trying to help them become enthusiastic about this process. And so typically, the reasons why people fail is because they're focused on the wrong things. So the 11 laws are basically the things that they can focus on, the things that are important. This will be in the book, of course, when it comes out. The 10 Commandments, they came up with these really cool commandments that, changed a lot of the way people function in the world. The 12 steps for alcoholics are another, they're just simple rules to follow so that you have something to cling on to, something to get excited about, something that'll help you focus, something that'll keep you on track. And that's what the 11 laws of health and fitness are the 11 key things for you to think about to help you, understand how important health and fitness is and how to stay on track. So number 1, variety. You look at P90X or Power 90 or 10-minute trainer. We have muscle confusion, super stacking, sectional progression. They're basically terms in each one of these programs that explains that variety is the spice of fitness. Because, you can just do yoga, and yoga's awesome. But you're going to have a yoga body, and you're going to have, if you do yoga 5 to 6 days a week, oh my God, it's infinitely better than doing nothing. But there's going to be certain limitations. You're not going to be able to run faster. You're not going to be able to lift a certain amount of weight. You're going to be more flexible. You'll probably be more patient. There's amazing things about yoga. Spinning, another one. Love it. But what happens to people is they become, I look people go to spinning class, and they all have kind of the same body, but there's certain limitations in what they can physically do because they're only doing one thing. So the reason why P90X and Power 90 and 10-minute trainer work so well for so many people is because they're more than one thing. P90X has 12 DVDs. Power 90 has, multiple circuit training routines, some cardiovascular in nature and some resistance in nature, with yoga in there as well. And that's the reason why people get strong and fit, and their symmetry is really great because of the variety aspects of it. So, number 1, variety. Mix it up. It's not you're not going up and down a ladder. Most programs look like you're going up, in a straight line. P90X or 10-minute trainer or one-on-one, it's more like a rock wall. You know what I mean? You're going up, right. But man, it's like physical chess is probably a great way to describe it. So, and the reason why that works is because you avoid boredom. Right, you do this. I'm a runner. I've been running 3 miles 3 times a week for the last 30 years. Oh God, you look like you need to be thrown into a yoga class because you're such a bent-over mess and your knees are such a wreck. So you're trying to avoid boredom, you're trying to avoid injuries, and you're trying to avoid plateaus. And if you have variety in your fitness, those things don't happen, and you continue at 51 years old to get stronger and more flexible as you get older. Variety.
Well, let me ask you a question, because I love the term physical chess. I think that's great. And when you look at all the different programs you've created, which one most closely resembles your daily activity? I mean, is it P90X or is it something else? I mean, what does Tony Horton actually do? What does your workouts look like?
It depends on the day, depends on the week, depends on how much recovery I need, depends on whether I'm traveling, depends on how much sleep I've had. So honestly, 10-minute trainer, P90X, Power 90, one-on-one, they all represent sort of a myriad of how I exercise. For example, I have a chest and back routine today. As I sit here, I have no idea what I'm going to do. None. I mean, it strikes me the second I walk into the room. That's how I exercise. You know, it's like going for a run in a place you've never been before. That's how every one of my workouts are. For example, last night I walked in and we're doing cardio circuits. You know, I'm at that point in my fitness career where I can this way it's a challenge every time. It's certainly not boring because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. But last night was a cardio routine, and so I have a VersaClimber, a stationary bike, a treadmill, a ski machine, a slide board, you know, a lateral skating board, a heavy bag, and a platform outside where I jump rope. So I looked at my buddy and I said, too cold to jump rope outside, so let's skip that. I don't feel like hitting the heavy bag because that's also outside. So let's do 5-minute intervals, 50 minutes on the ski machine, the slide board, the VersaClimber, the stationary bike, and the treadmill. And he looked at me and went, okay, boss, here we go. And that's exactly what we did. 5 machines, 5 minutes each, and then we repeated it. And we took maybe 15 to 30 seconds in between each one. And I just pulled that out of my butt right there the minute I did it. And my only focus was, am I working out hard enough so that my heart rate is in my right place while I'm doing each one of these machines? Today, for example, is chest and back. You know, I did chest and back last week. It was all dumbbells and cable machines. And because it was all that last week, today's going to be probably a lot of stability ball stuff, a lot of Bosu ball stuff, a lot of medicine ball stuff where you're doing, you know, one of my favorite moves is plyometric medicine ball push-ups where you line 4 medicine balls up in a row and you plyometrically jump with your arms from, you know, first 2 balls to the middle 2 balls to the last 2 balls, and you go back and forth. I mean, or we'll stack 2 Bosu balls, you know, round side up on one, round side down on top of the other one, and then put your feet on a stability ball. It's like doing push-ups in an earthquake. It's awesome. You know,
that
because you get on the deck, you know, 2 months later, you can do 60 regular push-ups because it's just 10 times easier. You know, so we're always upping the ante. We're always changing it up. There's variety in my workouts every time. You know, sometimes I'll just put the headphones on and go, you know what, I'm going to go run. How far am I going to run? I don't know. At least for 20 minutes. And when the 20 minutes come and go, you know, sometimes I'll run 8 miles. I don't know. It all depends on, you know, oh, my back feels weird, my knee feels weird, my hamstring feels weird. People get in these ruts of they think, okay, well, I'm doing exercise, so the fact that I'm doing it is okay. Yeah, sort of. But the reason why you're injured and you're bored and you're not seeing any new results is because you keep doing the same stuff over and over and over again. And that's disconcerting for people. They go, well, man, look at me. I'm setting up the time. I've got a plan. I'm committing to something. And now you're telling me that I have to do 10 different things? Well, if you want better results and you want to not get hurt and not get bored, not plateau, yeah. That's why Sheryl Crow does it, and Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore and Emmett Smith and Ewan McGregor and Usher and David Akers and Brian Westbrook and Kelly Slater, 6-time, you know, world champion surfer, and Pink and, you know, John Semmett, John Sally, former Detroit Pistons Laker. He's got, like, I don't know how many rings for, world champion basketball stud that he is. You know, Jen Brown. I don't know if you know Jen Brown, ESPN news correspondent. Kenny G is using P90X. I mean, the list is crazy. Wow. Yeah. You know, because
it's got everyone doing it.
Because it's got variety, you know, and that's just the first. If you just got through the first law of the 11 laws, you'd have tremendous success. But there are other factors that matter too.
Okay, so variety, you got a ton of variety. And how often are you doing any sort of stretching in yoga, you personally, like per week?
I do yoga once a week because that's I only have 7 days in a week. Like my schedule is Sunday I do a 3-hour gymnastics routine at the beach. You know, it's not constant. You know, with gymnastics, you kind of do something and you feel like you're going to hurl, and then you wait, 3 minutes to do another thing. But we're down there for 3 hours doing a gymnastic workout. Monday nights is plyometrics because I'm a skier, so I do a 55 to an hour minute leg and plyometric routine. Tuesdays is, in this particular sequence this month, has been shoulders and arms. So I'll do handstand push-ups and upright rows, and I'll attack my shoulders and I'll do my biceps and triceps. Wednesday night, which was last night, which is that cardio routine, and then Thursday. Today, I've got, as soon as our interview is over, we're going to go upstairs with a couple of buddies and do our crazy, yet-to-be-discovered chest and back routine. And then typically Friday is another cardio day. I'll usually go for a run, or it's maybe sometimes my day off. Saturday is yoga. I do an hour-and-a-half yoga routine at 4 o'clock or 9:30 in the morning, depending on my schedule. And then, whoops, all of a sudden it's Sunday again. So that's it. I wish I did yoga more often, but I'm a pretty flexible guy anyway. And when I first started doing yoga, I was doing it 2 to 3 days a week because I was so bad at it. But I wanted to get good at it. So the beautiful thing about flexibility in yoga is, once you get to a certain place, you don't need to do it as much. At least that's my experience. So.
Well, no, yeah. Once you get through, you get yourself flexible. Then again, it goes back to it's a lot easier to maintain the momentum than it is to create it. And if you can go through the initial stages and get yourself to an area, boom, you're golden, and that's what's cool. Yep. And what's really cool about Beachbody products is that as soon as you think you've actually hit a really incredible intense level, guess what? They have it even a more intense one for you. So depending on how fanatical or how mild someone wants to be, there's something for pretty much everyone. Okay, so in terms of the laws, you got variety.
Variety, number one. Consistency, number two. It's got to be 5 to 6 days a week, and 7 if you want to, stretch in one day. That's how you get. It's like everything else. You sleep every night. You eat every day. You brush your teeth. What happens when you skip a couple nights of sleep or you don't brush your teeth for a week? There's going to be problems. Most of us haven't been raised to think that we have to have physical activity in our life almost every day. But to truly be on top of your game, to see tremendous results in a much shorter period of time, to feel good every day, to be less vulnerable to illness and injury every day, to focus on your health and fitness every day requires for you to work out practically every day. And that's the reason why we created 10-Minute Trainer, because some folks just say, not going to do it. If that's the formula, if I have to exercise that often, screw it. I'd rather do nothing because I can't get my arms around that. So 10-Minute Trainer is really more, at least from my experience when you talk to people, is more about getting people in the game who otherwise would never be in the game. They have the time. They just don't really like to exercise very much. But they understand the concept of 10-minute chunks. I have some family members that had the excuse of not time constraints, but really just not into going to the gym, not into doing 35-minute to hour chunks of exercise. But they could wrap their arms around 10-minute chunks. And consistency is everything. And that's really, that if you want results, if you want to feel good all the time and you want to see dramatic change, it's got to be 5 to 6 days a week. 4 days a week, 3 days a week, just throw yourself down a set of stairs. You'll be really sore, but you won't see much change.
That's great. Let me ask you about the 10-minute trainer thing, too. I mean, I imagine that would, from a psychology standpoint, if you can just get someone working out consistently for 10 minutes, then they'll start moving it up, they'll ratchet it up, and eventually they'll get to a great point. I mean, to what degree can someone, stay in shape with, a shorter workout? I mean, what can you really do with only 10-minute to 30-minute workouts versus, 6 days of 45 minutes to an hour workouts?
Well, you're trying to cater to different personalities on the planet, right? So some folks, like I said a little bit earlier, just don't have it in them to do the longer workouts. So what you try to do is provide them with something that gets them off the couch and gets them moving. Now, just because it's 10 minutes doesn't mean it's easy. The 10-minute ab routine is probably the most difficult ab routine I've ever created. A lot of people who buy the 10-minute trainer and look at the ab routine, come to me and say, "Are you friggin' kidding me? I can't do half this stuff." I said, "That's the idea. A lot of my stuff is skill-based. It's not dancing and jumping and kicking and punching, which is great. You get up and you move, and it's really energetic and everything else. But my stuff, you're learning how to do things. Your body and your mind are learning how to do things, and it requires steps. So, for example, when you talk about synergistic, one of the routines in P90X is core synergistics. You're lunging and curling and squatting all within one move in the course of 1 minute in those 10 minutes. And we string a bunch of those workouts. That's what we call it, super stacking. We stack different layers of different kinds of exercises on top of each other in the course of 1 minute chunks, with the whole thing being in 10 minutes, and that's why it works. Now, we also tell folks 10 minutes is not really going to be enough in a day. If you're going to do, 10 minutes a day, 6 days a week, you're going to see mild change slowly. That is if you really clean up your diet. Ideally, you need to do 2 or 3 of these things a day. So you can stack them up one on top of each other, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, or you can separate them throughout the day based on your schedule. And, we explain that pretty clearly to you. I mean, I know folks that have done 2 a day, 10 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon, changed their diet and lost a bunch of weight and got super fit and really changed their lives. So
yeah, and it is a great way for people to get started. I mean, with consistency, why do you think it's so hard for people to either get started or stick with a program? I mean, in your experience, you've encountered every excuse.
No plan and a crappy purpose.
Mm-hmm. We'll get to that later after you go through the 11 laws. I definitely want to talk about purpose and plan because I think that is just so critical, and this is fantastic stuff that you're sharing. So, yeah, keep hitting me with it.
Well, number 3, intensity. Number 3 is intensity. I think, I expect people to find the fire. Where's the fire? And when it comes to intensity, to also understand, and this is the reasons why people come to my fitness camps, because they learn all this information in the course of 4 workouts and 4 seminars in 2 days. So, they show up with a bunch of questions on Friday, and come Sunday afternoon, they know everything I know, and then it's up to them to do it or not. So, when people say, I don't know, am I overtraining or am I undertraining, or how do I know what intensity is? Well, first of all, if you're doing a cardiovascular or interval-esque routine, buy a heart monitor. They're $40. Wrap the thing around your waist, put it on your wrist, and find out what your training zone is, and try to get in it. That's information that you don't have that you will get if you buy a heart monitor. And if you don't have a heart monitor on the 1 to 10 scale of intensity, a 10 meaning, I'm being chased down the alley by guys with knives who are sure to kill me, that's intense. A 1 is, hey, I love smoking out of this crack pipe on my couch while I'm watching American Idol. You don't want to be a 1, you don't want to be a 10. You want to be somewhere between a 6, 7, and 8. And you have to understand that an 8 would represent, let's say you're in the middle of doing plyometrics or you're doing a chest and back routine, and an 8 on a level of intensity would be, this is really hard. I'm working almost as hard as I can, but I can hang in there. It's not so hard that I feel like I have to pause or I have to stop or I have to hurl, A 7 is slightly less than that, and a 6 would be, you know what? This is all I can handle today. I didn't get great sleep last night. Maybe I didn't eat really well, but I'm in the room, and I'm not maybe as strong as I was last time or working as hard as I could be, but based on the conditions that I'm under, a 6 is what I can pull off. So that's how I operate. I have workouts at the beach on Sundays where I'm a 5 plus max, and other days I feel like I can do an 8 plus. So it's understanding that intensity changes from day to day based on weather. Look at Lance Armstrong. He says that at 72 degrees I can ride my bike like a madman. At 65 it's harder. At 85 it's harder. So the temperature in the room has a lot to do with your level of intensity. And that's sort of important to know. But people forget that. Like I went skiing last week, it was 20 below. I couldn't ski very well. I wonder why. Because it was 20 below. Right. Same thing with lack of sleep, or maybe you got a bad piece of chicken the night before. There are variables here that sometimes are out of your control, but your job is to show up no matter what. I have an expression, do your best and forget the rest. And do your best doesn't necessarily mean you have to be better than last time. You just have to show up. That's all that matters.
Let me ask you, you always say bring it. Okay, what do you mean by bring it? I mean, I kind of get what you mean, but I'm more like, I'd love to hear your perspective on this.
Bring it basically means turn off the noise and get to work. Turn off the fear and don't be afraid of what you can physically do. Get in there and fight the fight. Take that wall, soldier. That's what bring it means. The problem with 2 words, look at Nike's thing, just do it. It's just a little phrase to help people kind of get excited. It's a rallying cry, really, is what it is. I think do your best and forget the rest is a slightly more wordier version of bring it, And then this conversation is obviously a lot more words that help people get, it's a way to motivate people, a way to inspire people. Way to get them off the couch and just freaking do it,
Okay, well, so intensity. And so, if someone changes nothing else and they have their workouts and they have their food and they have their sleep and rest and relaxation and recovery and all that, if they just increase their intensity, they will increase their results, is what you're saying, to a point. But if you surpass certain intensity, then you might be doing maybe too much.
Yeah, with intensity, can you maintain your form? If you come to one of my seminars, I say intensity is great, but if your form is going whack on you toward the end of a particular exercise, well, then you're not listening to the 1 to 10 scale. You're in the 9 to 10 range, and you're vulnerable to getting hurt. So turn off your ego, stop trying to compete with what you see on the screen or somebody else in the room, and focus on good form, working out as hard as you can based on where you are today. and that's enough. And because, there's always going to be tomorrow and the next day and the next day. It's about looking at the big picture. People say, P90X, well, what do I do at the end of the 90 days? I said, well, what have you learned in 90 days? What do you love? What do you like? I mean, I know a guy who did Power 90 and P90X. He had a heart attack. He saw the infomercial, bought the product, went through both programs, and discovered he loved yoga. And now he runs the yoga studio. I mean, here's a guy who was as big as a house, had a heart attack, and now he's lean and ripped. And when he started P90X, yoga was the worst thing for him. It was the hardest program for him. He despised it. He said, seriously, yoga? Are you kidding me? But he went from his nemesis turned into his genesis. Oh, you can quote me on that one, baby. Which is true.
That is, we should. So you're the originator of saying that?
That's it. Your nemesis. Well, I wrote a blog about it years ago.
Oh, okay.
Your nemesis is your genesis. Yeah. So it's true, though.
You think they'll ever make superhero characters out of you, like they do with movies and stuff?
We only hope.
That would be kind of cool if you had like a Tony Horton bobblehead that actually like yelped out, "Bring it!" or something like that. That people
right.
Kinda...
You go over a pothole, bring it, bring it, like a parrot, So there you have
exactly.
You have intensity. Number 4 is purpose. Of the 11 laws, there's a separate seminar for purpose and plan. It elaborates it more. But purpose is, what is your reason why? What motivates you? Is it vanity, ego, weight loss? Is it fitness, health, quality of life, and feeling good? I will take fitness, health, quality of life, and feeling good way over vanity, ego, and weight loss. And that's the shift. That's the light that goes over people's heads. I said the reason why you haven't maintained your health and fitness is because you're too focused on the vanity, ego, the weight loss. See, because if you just and what those things are, I look at weight loss and looking better in clothes as really nice after effects. They shouldn't be your number one reason why, because that doesn't sustain most people. If your fitness, your health, the quality of your life, and feeling good matter to you, and you can get those today, you don't have to wait 30, 60, 90 days, 120 days for those. When I go upstairs after the interview and I do my routine, I'm going to automatically feel better after. I'm going to have a sense of accomplishment. I'm going to be able to, I hear I've done this amazing thing for my body and my brain, and that's the ultimate motivator. Every time I do not exercise, every day that I miss, I don't get those things. I don't improve my health. I do nothing. I don't improve my health there. I mean, maybe I will a little bit because I've eaten well. I certainly haven't improved my fitness. I haven't been able to release norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, and brain-derived neurotropic factor into my brain because I didn't do anything. So I didn't get that from not exercising. And now my body's going to start to age again. You stop exercising after about day 5 or 6, the aging process just kicks in, right? The muscles start to atrophy, the organs the brain and the organs in your body don't manufacture new fresh cells because you haven't broken them down and created new ones through movement. I mean, I miss 3 days of workout. I want to freaking kill people. I know the person I am with it, and I know the person I am without it.
So in your particular case, it's more for the safety of everyone around you that you maintain consistent workouts. I mean,
Beachbody calls me and say, hey, we need a shirtless shoot for you tomorrow or like in 3 days. It's partly about that for me, too. I mean, I don't know how many other fitness gurus that are out there that have a program out there where they're, running around with their shirt off all the time. I don't see that. I mean, I'm not going to name any names, but I know a lot of people who have programs in this country. I would want to see their shirtless body, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, well, yeah, and a lot of people that I know, I mean, whenever, they're getting ready for a photo shoot, I mean, they're planning a month or two in advance because they have to diet down and everything and give the impression that they look that way all the time.
Absolutely. They have to go through some kind, yeah, exactly. They have to hire trainers and food people so that they can look a certain way. I mean, I am always fit. I am always strong. I am always flexible. I am always ripped. If my knee hurts, I work my upper body to death. If I've screwed up my elbow, I'm working my lower body. You know what I mean? You could have a bad knee and bad elbow and still work your core. So there's never any excuse not to do anything, regardless of your. I mean, I have Eric Stohansky in the plyometric DVD for P90X has a prosthetic leg. You know what I mean? The guy's jumping around. Right. He's in the plyo workout with a prosthetic. He's not in the chest and back routine. So people just. You look at our ancestors. You look at the folks that built this country, right? They worked so hard. They did so much. They created such a really convenient, lovely lifestyle for our generation. But we've gotten fat, lazy, and depressed. And we blame the government. We blame the Democrats, the Republicans, the healthcare industry, the pharmaceutical industry for our healthcare problem. We are the reasons why the healthcare problem is so damn bad. I mean, most hospitals would be something completely different, if we all took care of ourselves.
Yeah, completely. I mean, the biggest issue with healthcare is, like, look at the crap that, people shove down their throats, the lack of working out, the numerous amount of companies out there that are calling the chemicals that they distribute and package as quote-unquote food, and in some cases calling it healthy food. I mean, it's a total joke, but ultimately you're responsible for your life.
Yeah. So, purpose. Your reasons why have everything to do with your level of success. And if what you're doing isn't working, then pick something different. Number 5, reality. Reality is that thing that's actually happening to you now, as opposed to that fantasy version of what you wish was happening to you right now.
Right.
A lot of people, suffer from, there's reality part A and part B. Reality part A is, if you're 55 years old and you've never had an athletic day in your life, and you've been overweight your whole life, you're not going to be a rock star supermodel in 90 days. It's just not going to happen. It's just, and if you're an ectomorph or an endomorph or a mesomorph, different body types, you can't turn an endomorph into an ectomorph. It's just physically impossible. Your parents had you, and they are of a certain body type. So as a result, you're going to be, there's going to be certain limitations on what you can physically do. I have small calves and big pecs. I hate it. I do half a push-up, and I look like a Playboy model. I don't. It's just genetically, my pecs grow, but my calves don't. I wish it was the other way around, but that's just who I am. You know what I mean? So that's the reality. Is this is who I am based on 2 people who had sex. You know what I mean? So
right,
what I'm going to do is make.
Well, whose fault is it for the calves? Your mother or your father?
I'm going to blame my father on the calves, but my mother's the reason why I have very, very strong and powerful quads. So a lot of athletes are built that way. They don't have tremendously shapely calves. But then here we are getting into the ego again. We're getting into the way I want things to look, but they function great. I mean, as far as being athletic, everything works really well. So the idea here is, understand that you are who you are based on your DNA and your genetics, and just go get fit and healthy. Reality part 2 is stop lying to yourself and to everybody else about what's going on. This fantasy version of who we want to be. We're always talking a good game, but the reality is we're not really actually saying and doing the things that we say we are. I have people who come to me and say, "I've done your program. I've done it for 8 months. For 8 weeks, and nothing's happening. But I'm doing everything right." You're full of, all right? You are not telling me the truth. And people, let's it's kind of a weird area, because what I'm basically doing here is blaming people for lying about what they're really doing.
Right.
People do not reveal their statistics honestly because they don't want to look bad. People are not truthful.
No, they're not, and I mean
they really are. They want to be. They think they are, but they really are living a fantasy version of what's actually happening. And this is the reason why people are depressed and frustrated, and because they're not asking for what they need. They're not being okay with reality. They're too attached to the outcome. So they have a tendency to be a little bit dishonest or fib a little bit or exaggerate the truth. But it's a reality. But you're playing this constant catch-up with there's what's actually happening, and then your version of it, and then there's that big mess in between. So if you're vulnerable and you're open and you're honest and you're authentic and you're okay with the fact that things aren't going perfectly, and you understand that that's a good thing, and that falling down and failure is part of the learning process, but you come back anyway because you know that consistency is a piece of the puzzle. These are simple things that people just don't know, but when you know them and you learn them and you're okay with that, I'd much rather hear somebody say, "You know what, man, I didn't eat well. I haven't eaten well in a week. I'm drinking too much coffee. I got drunk twice this week. I don't know what, I'm screwing up left and right. I've only done 3 workouts," as opposed to, "Yeah, everything's great. Really good, Tony. I'm on top of it, buddy." You know what I mean? And they go to bed at night and cry, you know what I'm saying, because they couldn't be honest with themselves or with anybody in their life.
Right. I have a good friend named Dan Sullivan who created a company called Strategic Coach, and he coaches the top entrepreneurs in the world, like really successful people. Fantastic company, and he has a great line where he says, "All progress starts by telling the truth."
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's it right there.
Yeah, and in the 12-step community, they have great sayings in 12-step. Progress, not perfection, and oh boy, there's so many that actually could be applied to fitness. But your best thinking got you to where you're at. So if you think you're clever and everything, and you're lying to yourself, and you're living in a delusion, then stop that, change it, be honest.
Yeah,
you're as sick as your secrets.
the truth will set you free. It will set you free. You know, if you trust the process and enjoy the journey along the way, and make that be a priority as opposed to, you know, masking what's actually happening, then you'll have great success. There'll be much less stress in your life. You'll sleep a whole lot better, and a lot, because people know that you're jerking them around. You know what I mean? They won't say anything because they feel bad for you. They don't want to. You know, who wants to confront somebody who's full of crap? You know, it's just, and, you know, unless it gets to the point where it's interrupting a relationship or really affecting somebody in a way where you can see their life kind of coming apart. You know, I mean, I'm not here to do interventions for people, but I am here to say that looking at your life, actually understanding what's really happening, and being authentic and true and honest is the start of progress in your life. But and so, you know, typically when I do this piece of the seminar, any questions? And then everybody's like looking at the floor, you know.
Right.
We get it. We're cool. All right, no problem. Next. You know, so
okay, so for everyone listening, the takeaway here is, you know, look at really what sort of level of delusion are you operating from, and you know, are you in reality or not? Because if you really want to get results and progress, not just in this particular area, but anything in life, you know, the truth will set you free, just like you said. I mean, it's cliche, but there's wisdom in that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, who you are right now is perfect. Now get busy.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. One more thing. It's like quote session here.
That one's mine, I think. I don't know if it.
Well, you can take credit for it.
Right.
Yeah, you'll always accomplish more through movement than you ever will through meditation. And sometimes meditation is fantastic, though. However, a lot of people spend their entire lives thinking about that wonderful day when they're going to start exercising or eating right or whatever, and as it goes, you know, life is not a dress rehearsal. Get off your ass and do something about it.
Well, yeah, I think, and you know, there's nothing wrong with prayer, and there's nothing wrong with wishful thinking, and you know, but when I get on my soapbox, you know, I'll say, hey, depression comes from lack of action. You know, it really does. So even if you do it poorly, you're doing something. At least you're experiencing something. You know, at least you'll have a story to tell, because, you know, I prayed and I meditated and I rubbed my crystals today, and I looked at my tarot cards, and I went to my spiritual therapist, and, you know, either you're doing or you're having something done to you. So typically when you're doing, you're going to have results. When something's being done to you, you know, that's what I think a lot of times people get stuck in this pattern of not enough doing and too much having things done to them, and the outcomes are completely different. So, number 6 is sport. Sport or play, you know, because some people don't like sports. They don't want to be on a softball team, or they don't want to windsurf, or they think, you know, ping pong isn't a sport. Tell me, man, when I play ping pong, it's a sport. You know, the reason why I think that's really important is it helps accelerate your overall coordination, balance, endurance, stamina. You know, these are things that you don't necessarily always get through an exercise program. I mean, with P90X, you probably will, but if you want to overall enhance your results, then you find a sport or a hobby. And what's really great about that is you're around like-minded people. Like, I have my Sunday gymnastics workout, and I'm around some of the coolest people I have ever met in my life. We have this common bond. We just, you know, we're all out there sort of supporting each other. It's a beautiful, you know, usually it's a beautiful day. We're outside, and we're doing something that's skill-based, difficult, but really fun. And the other thing, too, is, you know, the stuff that you do, the training that you do, enhances your ability to be a better athlete. And when you're working on your athleticism, it also, you know, it works in the opposite direction. It helps you progress faster in your fitness. So, you know, you join a team, you meet other people, and there's a fun factor to it, you know. And it also, if you like, you know, a competitive atmosphere, that's great. Personally, I'm not a fan of it. Like, I substitute on a softball team. You know, and these guys look at the softball like it's life and death, you know what I mean? To me, it's just, hey, we hit the ball, we run around, we catch the ball. You know, whether we win or lose, I don't, you know, when I was a kid, winning and losing was everything, and it made me miserable.
Right.
And now that it's not everything, I'm not as miserable. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if you like misery, because it's going to happen at least half the time when you lose, right on, you know what I mean? Personally, I just like to, you know, I like sports like skiing and gymnastics, which aren't competitive in nature. They're just really help me with balance and endurance and stamina and flexibility and things like that. Those are the kind of sports that I like. But everybody's different, right? So if and that doesn't always interest some people. They go, I'm just not athletic. I don't want to join a team. I just want to do the workouts. Awesome. Maybe this particular law doesn't resonate with you. But if you're curious about it and you want those things, that you get from it, then give it a try. Because you're going to meet, like with the softball team, I've met all these great guys I never would have known otherwise. And it's like this conversation with you, you meet new people and then all these new doors open up. And so that's the beautiful thing about sport.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's a competitiveness and there's a community aspect to it. And let me mention one thing about P90X also, because I think this is one part of it that is really well done that I don't know if gets much mention in people's minds or they even think about it. But when you're doing the workouts, you've got other people with you in the room. So you even, as best as you guys are able to deliver on a video, you create a sense of community. Then you have the boards the forums where people can go and talk. So you're not just selling a product with P90X, you're actually selling access to an ongoing community. And yeah, there's other things that Beachbody sells. People can buy everything needed from bands to, the pull-up bars to supplements to various things that are actually sold. However, you really get a sense of you're not alone. And when I do those workouts, and like I said, I've worked out with a ton of different personal trainers. The most interesting thing is because of the warm-ups and the way that you set it up, I have never had an injury ever doing P90X. And I've worked out with many incredibly skilled trainers, and I tweaked a shoulder, or they're just so well scientifically put together. They're not just motivating workouts, but they're well put together, and there's a real good community aspect. So I think people, they're like, I have to have a partner in order to work out. I just won't be able to motivate myself. I think some of the magic that you have, Tony, is the fact that you've done so much of this that you know how to motivate people, even from a DVD, and make them feel like, hey, man, I'm right here with you, even when you push through. And that's what I think people are going to really love experiencing with P90X. And I think it'll help you then go out and develop sports and go out and develop a community to add that to your health and fitness regimen. So those are my thoughts. Well, when it comes back to sport, my dear friend Ann Furrs, who I went to high school with, I made her do Power 90. I forced her pretty much because she was overweight and struggling. She was a size 14. Now she's down to about a size 6, which is quite miraculous, really. But she told me a story about when her and her husband had done it. The guy, they started, I'm not quite sure, but it was before the summer. I think it was sometime in before he plays golf, is what I'm trying to say. And so he had a big old belly on him. You looked at him from behind, he looked fairly normal, but when he turned, he had this big old belly, but he loved golf. And so he did Power 90, then he did some P90X, hadn't played golf for months, went out on the golf course, on a course that he had never played before, and had one of his best rounds of his life because he didn't have the stomach in front of him anymore when he was. And he said, I couldn't believe that here I was. I thought I was going to shoot 20 over par, and I was hitting the ball like I had never hit him before. Obviously, because he's stronger, he's more flexible. And another example of a friend of mine, look at David Akers. All right, the guy was nearly going to be kicked off the Philadelphia Eagles. He buys P90X in the off season. He talks to Rick Burkhalter, who's the conditioning coach for the Eagles, and he says, "What do you think of this P90X?" And Rick has a tremendous knowledge of exercise and fitness, and he said, I think it's a pretty sound program. So Akers uses the thing, and he comes back, he starts kicking 55-yard field goals, and of course, like you mentioned earlier, he broke the NFL record for most consecutive field goals in the postseason. So one thing that Rick says as well, he says, whenever any of our guys are hurt, it was an excuse for them to do nothing, right? So if they were on the injured reserve, they would just do basic rehab exercises with one of the trainers. And now, he says, I love your expression, when the top is broken, work the bottom. When the bottom's broken, you work the top. So these guys, they got dislocated shoulders and they're doing plyometrics. And the beautiful thing is that all the players say that what they have is onset muscle soreness, but no connective tissue or joint pain. And the reason why is because the program was developed by me while I was in my 40s. So it wasn't designed by some kid in their 20s who assumes that anybody who does the thing is going to be fine. Because I'm 51 now, and because of all the flexibility stuff and because of all the stretching that we do in the program, I don't want to get cards and letters and emails from people who say, oh, your program hurt me. I want to make sure that people, because that's one of the big issues with folks. They overtrain, they get injured, and then they don't come back after the injury's healed. They just, they lose all that momentum, and they don't come back for 2 and 3 years at a time. So the idea is to create something, a sequence, and a lot of it has to do with the muscle confusion and the variety, see, because,
you're not hammering the same body parts 3 days a week. People would say, how's this thing going to work? There's too much variety. Well, you're moving. It doesn't matter. It's physical chess, baby, and that's the reason why it works.
So continue on with the list of
we've got sport number 6, and number 7 is the plan. So what I've done in my other seminar is taken purpose and plan and put them together, but they do exist within the 11 laws. The plan is if you schedule it, you'll do it. If you wing it, you won't. It's that simple. If you schedule it, you'll do it. If you wing it, you won't. You have to stay accountable, and that's how you get when you're motivated. When you're accountable, you can stay motivated. When you're not accountable to some kind of a plan, you can't get motivated. And I don't know if he says it directly in his book, John Ratty's book, but when you're consistent, you have a certain energy about it. There's a certain motivation about it. There's a certain excitement about it. But when you miss 2 or 3 or 4 days in a row, you can suffer from sort of like fitness bipolar disorder, right? Because here you are jamming all these chemicals, and like I said before, I keep saying them again: norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, and brain-derived neurotropic factor. When you dump these things into your brain, there's a certain energy that occurs. When you stop, you lose that momentum, you lose that excitement. So the only way that you can keep it is you have to have a plan. I have a calendar on my desk. I've had it on my desk for 20 years. It's a desk calendar, and still to this day, I write down what it is I'm going to do and what time I'm going to do it, and I make an appointment every time. And I also do it on my laptop. So in the morning, my schedule pops up. Boop. I know what I'm going to do, and I know where I'm going to do it, and I know who I'm going to do it with. And I write everything down 30 days in advance. So on December 31st or the 30th, give or take, I'm going to pull up the calendar and I'm going to write everything down for the month of January. And it's simple. I tell folks at the seminar, if you can't be consistent, you don't have a plan, go and buy 1 to 3 calendars. Put them on your front door, your kitchen sink, and your fridge. And also attach 2 pens, a regular pen and a red magic marker. Write down all the workouts you're going to do. For me, for example, it's my Sunday workout, my Monday plyometrics, my Tuesday, Sundays at 8 o'clock, Tuesdays at 6 p.m., Wednesdays at 8:30 a.m., then Wednesdays at 6 p.m., and so on. And then every time you do your workout, you make a red X. And at the end of the month, you better have 20 to 25 X's. If you don't, you haven't been consistent. So, and I know people that have 3 calendars. One's not enough. The one on the fridge is not enough. The one on the front door is not enough. The one on the bathroom mirror is not enough. They have 3. They have constant reminders of where their priorities are. I know that sounds very, very simple, but it works like gangbusters.
That is actually a fantastic piece of advice. It's simple. Most people simply won't maybe go and do that and get those 3 calendars, but I could assure you that would be
it would work. Can you imagine
a great reminder.
Staring in the face? They're constant reminders of what's a priority in your life. How many? I'll go to a fitness camp and I'll say, how many people just when they wake up in the morning they really don't know what time they're going to work out, and half the arms go up in the air, and I'm thinking, holy crap, You know what time you're going to eat breakfast. You know what time you're going to, you're going to have an appointment when it comes to work, and it's going to help you make money. And if you really care about your health and your fitness and the quality of your life, and you want to live large, and you want to have tons of energy and enthusiasm for life, you've got to plan it. You got to plan it. It's like going on a trip. When I go on a trip, and I'm not on a first class, if I'm not getting on a plane, I have a 5-hour plane ride, then 2 days before, I know exactly the food that I'm going to pack in my carry-on bag so that I have some decent food to eat. I'm not going to be a victim like everybody else who's eating the crap that they serve. That's just insanity. It's so simple to do. Oh, I got a long drive. There's nothing like McDonald's on the road. Well, you get a cooler, and you put it in the car, and you go out to the store the night before that sells you that healthy burrito and water, and you put it in the damn cooler. And so when you're on the road for a 4-hour drive, there's your food right in the car. The food that you picked that's going to be healthy for you, you got no more excuses. So
let me like as a side note, what do you do when you're traveling for exercise and stuff too? I'm sure you would get to that, but I'll ask you that right now. So if you're on the road and you're a person that travels a bit, how do you mix it up?
Well, if I'm traveling, if I'm doing the airport routine, and even in first class, a lot of times the food is not what I want to eat. So I have I'm fortunate. I have a vegan chef, and I say, make travel food for me. So she'll put together some snacks. She'll make me some super healthy burritos because burritos are compact. You can put them in a small container or even some kind of a sandwich, like a eggplant and veggie sandwich or something on whole wheat bread or something, and some really great, simple, healthy snacks. And I have a couple of bars that I really like that I think are great, that are high in protein, low in fat, sugar, and salt. maybe with some carbohydrates in them. But I like to have real food when I travel. And same thing when I'm in a car. Like I have a really great little cooler that I plug in. I mean, every car now has one of those auxiliary plugs. And I just put the food that I'm going to eat in the course of my drive in the car. You know, and sometimes I'll just pull over and eat it, or, you know, sometimes I'm actually eating and driving, which is, you know, I don't recommend. And that's how I do it. It's really simple. And when I travel and I'm in a restaurant, and I was in Hawaii for this fitness camp. And I was in a rush, and there weren't any restaurants. You know, there were some fast food restaurants, but there was this steak joint, right? And I looked at the menu, there's nothing there. And I said to the waiter, I said, do you have vegetables? He goes, yeah, we can do an a la carte thing. I said, I want the broccoli, I want the asparagus, and I want the spinach, and they had fish, so I got a piece of salmon. So, you know, it wasn't on the menu, but I got what I wanted. You know, and
so you just simply need to ask.
I mean, one of my expressions is ask for what you need, and 95% of the time you'll get it. Ask for what you need. You don't try to solve the problem on your own and get all freaked out and upset because the menu doesn't have it. They have vegetables back there. You know what I mean? You say to the waiter, hey, I'm on a special diet, and I hope that's okay. I mean, I know I see your menu. There's a lot of things I can't have. You know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. There's a tip in it for you if you take care of me. You know, sure.
Right, exactly.
What do you love? And 95% of the time, they'll make what you need. You know, especially when you say, hey, I'll come on this really special diet, and here I am at your restaurant. I love this place. I get a lot of, you know, you just got to be nice to people and ask for what you need, and you'll get it. Then, of course, you know, the next one is stress and sleep. Number 8. You know, if you're, the funny thing is that one has to do with the other. You know, quite often, I mean, I've read study after study of people who are on all this depression medication, and then after a while they figure out, oh, you're just not getting enough sleep. You know, because, you know, what I call sleep, I'd like to change the name to sleep. Sleep is not a motivating thing. I want to call sleep healing, because
that's great.
When you sleep is when you heal, especially if you're exercising 6 days a week. I mean, think about it. Here you are, you're tormenting your body in a way that you never have before, and then you're trying to come back the next day after 5.5 or 6 hours of sleep. Your immune system is vulnerable. Your joints are vulnerable. Your muscles haven't healed because they haven't had enough downtime. You know, I mean, you need balance. I mean, that's what yin and yang is all about. You know, we live in a yang society. It's go, 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 win, 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 fight, fight, fight. You know, make money. You know, you were in front of laptops and computer screens and iPhones and televisions 8 hours a day. There's nothing yin-like about it, you know. And so the only place that we get our yin energy, we say yin and yang, but it's really yin and yang. The only time we get that is when we sleep. I mean, I would love people to meditate. I would love people to sit quietly and read. You know, I would love people to just do some deep breathing exercises or do some kundalini yoga or something. But as a society, we don't. So the one area that we need that downtime, we don't get enough of. And then typically what happens is, because we live in a land of chaos, our 5.5 hours to 6 hours of sleep are filled with torment. You know, I can't sleep. And so then we start taking pills to help us get enough sleep. So there's that vicious cycle, right? So sleep is huge. I mean, honestly, I tell folks, try to get your 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep if you can. Now, some folks can operate on 5 and 6 hours. I don't know who they are. They're superhuman. They're aliens. I don't know what they're doing, but good for them. But that's not me. I mean, when I do a 28 sets of shoulders and arms, I need to get my 8 hours the next night, or because when I come back for the next one, I'm not going to be ready.
Do you recommend not working out if you've simply not gotten enough sleep?
It depends on the person. Some folks, I tell them, look, if you feel like crap, you know, and you feel like you're on the edge of getting sick, or you haven't had enough sleep, or you feel really achy and sore, if you're really achy and sore, then chances are you have to either A, do nothing, modify by decreasing your repetitions and your overall resistance by, you know, anywhere from 20 to 50%, or just take the day off and be okay with that. You know, it really depends. So, you know, I say, don't be afraid to ask yourself those 3 questions. All right, what am I today? Am I modification day? Am I change my routine day? You know, maybe that's something I can do. You know, just turn it into a stretch. Or is it just I just need to do nothing. I need to just take that day off. And there are certain days where I don't have the energy. I don't have the enthusiasm based on whatever, you know, especially when I travel. I mean, I had a trip where I was in Rhode Island, D.C., and Philly, you know, going back and forth, and new hotels, and, you know, a lot on my mind. And I just went to the gym, and I just walked up a hill on the treadmill. I mean, I had a chest and back day scheduled, but I said, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to walk on the treadmill just to get the blood flowing. And it's okay to change things. It's important.
Yeah, well, when I actually travel with my laptop, I'll take the stretching workout, the yoga workout, the plyometrics workout from P90X with me because they're just great workouts. And I mean, even in the one-on-one with Tony, you have one of the workouts which is just a band, and you can, you know.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you travel with like a band or anything along those lines?
No.
For exercise?
I bring my jump rope.
Gotcha.
I bring my jump rope.
And one last question on this, and then we'll go back to it because I don't want to derail you here too much as things come up when you're talking.
Yeah, I have a tendency to kind of go off there, yes.
Well, yeah, we're both that way. I think it's my ADD, ADHD sort of brain.
Yeah, me too.
Which, let me mention some, because you've mentioned the book Spark a couple times by John Ratey. Ratey, I'll never pronounce his name.
Was it Ratey or Ratey? It's Ratey, but I'm not sure the pronunciation.
Well, I'm going to make sure he gets a copy of this interview because my good friend, Dr. Edward Hollowell, who's the top ADD, ADHD psychiatrist in the world, actually gave me a copy of that book. I just have not read it yet. And what's great when you're talking about brain chemistry and stuff, that's very much what Ned talks about in a lot of his books of what happens. And he's such a big proponent of physical exercise and proper rest and all the distractibility exists in modern life. And so I think John will get a kick out of hearing what you said, and so would Ned, and they'll probably want to share this interview with a bunch of people. Best time to work out. I mean, you mentioned that sometimes you'll, maybe 9:30, 4:30, depending on the day. Are you much of a stickler about when you work out? Is it better in the morning, evening? I know you'll probably say it depends on the person, but is there any scientific reason to work out?
I love this question. I love this question because it's people ask me that question, and I think, do you have a choice? What lifestyle do you have? Do you have a choice? You know what I mean? Hi, I'm a mom. I got 3 kids. I got to get them off to school. I'm a working mother. For some folks, the option's 4 a.m. You know what I mean? Based on their lifestyle. Right. If you have all the money in the world and you don't have a real job and you want, the ideal time is you get your 8.5 hours of sleep. You know what I mean? You have your trainer come in and they give you a little stretch, and then you go down to breakfast and have the perfect organic breakfast, and then you wait an hour, and at around 10:30, nobody has that life. The best time is when you can, and we're back to reality again. The reality is you're stuck. Here's your window. Use it.
Well, you didn't have to be so hurtful about it.
I know. I was mean to you. Was I mean to you? No, but ideally the morning is typically better because it kicks in the metabolism and you burn more you burn calories better. It also because you get the norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, you get all these really great things. This is how you want to go into your day. Ideally, morning is optimal over any other time, I think.
But the bottom line is when you can. And obviously I'm asking questions because my whole outcome that I want here is just everyone that's listening to just be working out and taking care of themselves because they're going to be happier, healthier, more productive people, and that'll make the planet a better place.
But you know what, though? That's a brilliant question, and I'm glad you asked it because a lot of people, that question comes up all the time. So I hope I didn't appear to chastise you as a result of asking.
Oh, no, I'm totally joking. I mean, I was just doing a jerky voice thing on you by saying it's so hurtful.
No, it's a brilliant question, and a lot of people ask, and so they after they ask it, I say, well, when can you? And they'll go, well, I only can do it at night. I said, well, then there you go. That's the best time for you, With me, I mean, look at my schedule. Sunday mornings, Monday nights, Tuesday mornings, Wednesday nights, Thursday mornings, Saturday afternoon. That's my pattern because of my schedule. So.
And you schedule it out a month in advance, like you said.
A month in advance. Yeah, here we are toward the end of December. I'm going to be pulling that January calendar out here, and I'll be writing them down. And, it doesn't change much for me. I mean, that pattern's been the same for years for me. But then I look at my travel schedule. January, I'm either traveling or speaking or working or shooting 18 days in the month of January. So, I talk to my people, and I say, hey, look, if I'm flying to Philly, get me on a flight that's early enough so that I can get in the gym before it closes.
Right.
That's how I operate. So
that's great. I love that commitment. That's awesome.
Yeah. Stress and sleep. We've covered sleep. Sleeping is healing. Plain and simple. If you sleep enough, you will heal enough because, you need that energy. You need to do that if you want to come back another day to exercise. And then, of course, lack of sleep causes stress. But even with good sleep, you're still suffering. A lot of folks have, really stressful lives. So, I don't want to get too esoteric here, but, there are things that you can do to combat your stress. One of them is the reality thing. A lot of folks are living that fantasy version of life, so they have more stress because they're playing catch up all the time with this version of life that's not actually happening. So just be honest and be authentic and be okay with the outcome and don't be attached to the outcome. Do your best and forget the rest. If you do your best and forget the rest, because the rest is the problem, right? Here you are doing your best, but you're thinking too much about the rest, and that's causing you stress. So, put a little patience in, be a little bit more thoughtful if you can, maybe try to be a better listener, and there's, we can do an hour on each one of those things.
No, you really couldn't. I don't know if there's an easy way to answer this one.
No, there really isn't. But if you find that you have stress issues, one answer could be get more sleep, and the other one would be, start looking at regular fitness as a way to sort of monitor your stress. I mean, I know a lot of folks that their stress just melts away because they're exercising 6 days a week. Some people need more than that. And if you do, don't be afraid to go talk to a therapist, and understand why you're so freaked out all the time. But I can tell you, I've talked to hundreds of people who have simply added an extra 45 minutes to an hour of sleep every night, exercised regularly, and their stress has gone away. Gone.
Yeah, it's the whole saying, little hinges swing big doors, and
yep.
In a lot of cases that's really what it's all about.
It's really what it's all about. Absolutely. Number 9, loving it. Love it or leave it. If you're not excited and enthusiastic towards your fitness, then you're not going to do it. If P90X isn't your thing, do Insanity. If you don't like Insanity, go rowing. If you don't like to row, then take a spinning class. If you're a yoga-only person, then do that. Fortunately for me, a lot of people love P90X, and they love Power 90, and they love 10-Minute Trainer, and they love one-on-one because they like my personality and that I give them options and that we have a lot of fun and the thing works. And it's no brainer with a trainer. So, and that's what I am for some people. But
what about the people that don't like you? You have to occasionally get hate mail with the vast millions of people that get this stuff.
You know where I get hate mail from? Jealous trainers that wish they had my gig. That's who I get hate mail from. There's a guy on Facebook going, P90X doesn't work. And so there'll be 150 people who come in and say, get off this page because you're an idiot.
Right.
I'm standing proof. I've lost 50 pounds. I'm off these medications. People love their dogma and they love their technique and the fact that somebody else came in and thought of something before they did and has been successful with it. That's what upsets some people. But
you know what I love about P90X is it's one of these workout programs that when you bring it up to people that are extremely knowledgeable about working out and muscles and growth and just physique and structure and everything in general, they really don't ever say bad things about P90X if they've seen it or know anything about it, because they can't, because it's a really sound, awesome program. You would only hear that crap from people that really know nothing about it, or like you said, are jealous. Because my friend Tim Ferriss, who wrote a book called The 4-Hour Workweek, he has this great thing about critics.
Love that book.
Oh yeah, I just interviewed him.
I want to be his best friend. I love that.
You'll have to listen.
We will
to my
have to
interview
meet
with Tim Ferriss. He'll love to meet you. He's totally big on fitness and working out, and basically he says that criticism for most people is a self-hatred turned outward, and where people try to just and it's kind of a good way to look at critics at times. So anyway, I'm sorry to derail you on that. So love it or leave it.
But when the head conditioning coach for the Philadelphia Eagles got half the team using P90X, or when the head medical advisor for is it Nellis or Dulles Air Force Base in Nevada.
I wish I knew. Actually, I would give the right, but I don't.
Yeah, he wrote a little piece that he felt that P90X should be standard issue for the entire Air Force. So, and that's what we're working on. I mean, I'm in D.C. working on that very thing. The government works like a snail through mud, but
snail through mud.
We're planting our seeds. So the amazing thing is, you've got Army, Air Force, Marines, Navy, professional football players, conditioning coaches. Jeff Fisher, the coach for Tennessee Titans, uses P90X. It's amazing. Members of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Montreal Canadiens. I was having dinner with a conditioning coach for the Eagles, and in a restaurant in Philadelphia, and the Canadians were playing. The team in Philly, and they came up to us and said, "Hey, I'm the conditioning coach for the Montreal Canadiens." And so the two conditioning coaches were standing right there, at this restaurant, both talking about their use of P90X with their players and staff. So it's really hard to punch holes in this thing because it's just, it's common sense. I mean, Jack LaLanne was doing versions of this stuff years ago, but I've sort of modernized a lot of the things that he was doing. Charles Atlas is another one. I mean, there's but what I've done is I've added multidimensional fitness where it didn't really exist before. Before it was, you have these yoga guru types, and they have their philosophy, and they're really great, but they're just doing this thing about yoga. And of course, there's bodybuilders that have had books out for years, but it's purely about bodybuilding. And the idea is to try to avoid the plateau, boredom, and injuries, so that we can expand health and fitness to more people. And that's what we've done. And so, when it comes to loving it, figure out the thing that you love to do, and that's what's going to get you excited. That's what's going to keep you motivated, and that's really important. So many times you pick up a book and it says, I think I mentioned this early in the interview, do this workout and eat this food. And, well, I don't like those workouts, and that food is not my thing. So, here you are trying to force me to do something I don't want to do. And what I'm trying to say is, who are you? What do you like? Get busy and do something that resonates with you. So that's important. Number 10, flexibility. It's probably the only law in the entire series of 11 where there isn't a law for resistance exercise. There isn't a law for cardiovascular strength. But flexibility truly is the fountain of youth. Yoga is the fountain of youth. Because with good flexibility, and you've said this in the interview too, I spent a lot of time on stretching and warming up in those DVDs, much longer than other programs. Because you've got to get the body ready for what you're about to do. If you want healthy joints and tendons and ligaments and connective tissue, then you've got to treat them right, prior and after exercise. That's the reason why I love yoga. I mean, yoga is everything. If I had a choice, and somebody said to me, Tony, you could only pick one kind of fitness. I know you love variety. I know that's important to you, but if you had to pick one, it would be yoga, because yoga is everything. Yoga is balance. Yoga is strength. Yoga is flexibility. Yoga is endurance. Yoga is breath. Yoga is patience. I mean, that's why it's so important, and that's the reason why yoga and flexibility have their own category. It improves all other aspects of fitness.
I totally agree. I mean, I completely agree. And I think a lot of people with the warm-ups and even the yoga, see, if they were to go to a gym and do that, they would not even, many people wouldn't feel comfortable doing it in front of other people, and that's the beauty of P90X, is it covers pretty much everything in your own home or wherever you're at. As long as you have a little bit of space, you don't even need a lot. You can do it in a very tiny area as long as you have a screen. There you go.
Well, P90X works on your weaknesses and your strengths, not just your strengths. A lot of people gravitate to a program that they can do. They can maybe not do it perfectly well, but they can do most of it. With P90X, a lot of folks can't do half of it. You know what I mean? Right. So that's the reason why it works. If it was easy, it wouldn't work. The fact that it's hard is the reason why it works. The fact that there are things in there, stretches and flexibility issues and all the different kinds of workouts. I mean, some people will be great at 50% and horrible at others, but if you do it all the way it's set up, your results are off the chain. So,
so going back to flexibility, I mean, for me, I just feel fantastic when I do yoga, and if I don't do it for a period of time, and there have been times where and it was before I was doing P90X. Now, following the program, you just do it; it's part of the program. I just feel infinitely better when I'm stretched and I'm flexible. My body feels better. I have less aches. It just works. I mean, it's just to not be flexible is to live in a very stiff, in my opinion, not a very healthy sort of body.
Well, flexibility truly is the key to progress. Because when you're a runner or you're just a weightlifter, you're going to see there's going to be fits and starts and injuries. And so if you add the flexibility piece to the puzzle, you will constantly see progress over the course of time as you get older, which is, for some reason, I hear pretty new or pretty profound amongst a lot of people who've been working on this stuff and looking at this stuff and in the fitness industry for a long time. It used to be segregated. There were the yoga people and the flexibility people, and they were over there, and then there were the rest of us who were lifting weights and running, or getting on a bike or something. And so what I've tried to do is integrate all of it together, because all of it works better than different pieces. When you put all the pieces together, that's why it works. When you pull the pieces apart, what do you have? You just have a lot of issues with, like I said earlier, plateaus and injuries and people being frustrated because they're not getting results. So that's why flexibility is everything. And it's the reason why at 51 I'm able to do what I can do. It's the reason why I can do swing handstands on parallel bars, at my age.
No, and you say that in the program a lot. You mentioned that, the reason I can do that is because I stretch, because I'm flexible, because I do yoga, and that should be a testament right there. I mean, and if people have never seen you physically, go to beachbody.com. There's some videos they can watch of you. When they get P90X, they'll see. I mean, when they get the one-on-one with you, you're in incredibly great shape, and you're in a small percentile of the typical American. And so just follow what you're doing, and guess what? They'll probably get pretty similar results.
Those numbers are growing. Those numbers are growing. There are people in this country that have never been in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and even 60s who have never been in the kind of shape they are now, and that says something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 42 years old right now, and for the most part, compared to most people my age, I'm in pretty darn good shape.
Yeah, and your life's going to be infinitely filled with more energy and enthusiasm to try hard things than folks who don't take care of themselves and don't eat right. So
yeah, absolutely.
Number 11, food and supplementation. You are what you eat and drink. If you want high performance, if you want to see improvement over time, if you want to be less vulnerable to fatigue and injuries and everything else, it really starts with what you put in your mouth. So, when it comes to food, it's fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, and healthy fats. Now, I've never counted a calorie in my life. I don't know how many grams of protein I consume every day. I don't keep track of that. I eat fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, and healthy fats. So, is it 40-30-30? Is it 50-30-12? I don't know how many I don't know. It's fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, and healthy fats. I break up these foods in 5 small meals a day, as often as I can, and that's what I focus on. I met a girl, Julie, a couple of years ago. When I met her, she was ripped and lean and fit and could do like 12 pull-ups. Before she started Power 90, she's 5'3". She weighed 235 pounds, and she couldn't do a single push-up on her knees. And I met her at a shoot for an infomercial, so I thought she was one of the hot shots that we hired for the shoot. Occasionally you'll mix in people who have actually done the program with a couple of fitness models. I thought she was one of the fitness models. No, she was the girl who lost 110 pounds.
Wow.
Doing Power 90 and P90X. Now, she did Power 90 3 times in a row, so 3 months, 3 times in a row, and then she did P90X. So she couldn't do a single push-up on her knees, and then now I watched her do 10 pull-ups. So she's only, about 100 times stronger. She's lost 110 pounds. And I said, what did you do? I mean, when it came to your food, what did you do? She said, I just did what you said. And then I said, what did I say? And she says, I just ate fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, and healthy fats. Did you count calories? No. I mean, I knew that I shouldn't overeat. I knew that spreading out the meals throughout the course of the day would automatically regulate how many calories I felt like eating when I sat down to a meal. She said, I also learned from you that when I ate foods that were high in fiber, high in nutrition, low in fat, sugar, and salt, that I would naturally not overeat. I cut out, most dairy. I cut out all the soda pop I was drinking. I never ate a fast food again. I never ate out of a vending machine again. I stopped eating manufactured food, like you said, and everything just sort of regulated itself without having to count a calorie and know how many grams of protein I ate or anything else. I said, I ate like my great-grandparents ate, like you told me to. They didn't eat manufactured food. They went to the market and they bought fresh vegetables, and they might have some red meat or not. I mean, she said, I decided not to eat red meat because you didn't eat red meat, so I stuck to the fish and chicken, and I prepared food in such a way that it wasn't there was no fat or sugar and salt in it, and so she lost all that weight. She got super fit. She looked really ripped, and she looked like one of the fitness models on the shoot. So people want the food equation to be really complicated. They want some formula. They write entire books about it, and there's hundreds of them, but they don't friggin' work. May I say this? They work while you do them. Weight Watchers works while you do it. Nutrisystem works while you do it, but how come every time I see somebody in a Nutrisystem commercial, and then they're off the commercial, because 5 months later when I see them on TV, they're fat again? Because they used manufactured food in a box to lose weight temporarily so they could get paid to endorse a product. Ooh, fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you for lying to us so you could make some money so you could buy a condo in Aspen, you punk. I mean,
I hear you, totally.
So eat real food. Eat whole food. Don't overeat and don't eat, 10 minutes before you go to bed. Honestly, I mean, and I also have, I have other food philosophies. If you're eating junk food all the time, I'm on the 90-10 plan for myself. 90% of the meals that I eat are super healthy. 10%, I have fun. I like chocolate chip cookies. I like cheesecake. I like key lime pie. Sugar is my nemesis. You know what I mean? So I eat it once in a while, but I don't have cake after lunch. I make sure that I have my little rewards every once in a while so I don't go crazy. Other people, my friend Mark Briggs, he learned what fuel does for his body, good healthy food, and he also learned what not healthy food does to his body, so he doesn't eat it. He doesn't eat unhealthy food anymore, period. He loves the fact that every time he puts whole, healthy, high-fiber, whole-grain, super nutritious food in his mouth, that his life is going to be better. His energy is going to improve. He's going to sleep like a rock. Those facts matter to him, so he, to put a cookie in his mouth, you might as well, take off his knee. He wouldn't do it. And other people, I just say, you need to get on the 50-50 plan. If you're eating crap all the time, all right, clean up half your meals. Clean up half. You can go to McDonald's at night if you want. You can have, Kentucky Fried Chicken if that's what you need to do, but at least eat something healthy 50% of the time. And chances are you'll reap the benefits of that. You'll feel better afterward. You won't be sluggish and tired and bloated and, the usual issues that you have. And then maybe over the course of time you'll go from 50-50 to 75-25. And then maybe eventually you'll end up where I am at 90-10. I don't know. I mean, Rome wasn't built, in a day. Do what works, what resonates for you and your personality at this stage of your life. You know what I mean? It's all good as long as you're moving in the right direction.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if you start one chain of events, it will reach to others. And simply, if someone does P90X, if you never drive the car and it sits in the garage, you don't really pay much attention about the fuel sitting in the tank or the dust sitting on top of the vehicle. Until you start driving it, you realize, hey, if I put this sort of fuel in, it's going to work better. I mean, you said something on, I think it's in one of the P90X books, because I wrote it down as like a note, where you say your body doesn't run on exercise, it runs on the fuel you put in your mouth.
Absolutely. Everybody, my graduating class in 1976, you look at all the pictures of everybody there. We had 2 overweight kids that I can remember in my graduating class of 714. We just weren't. There were no iPhones or Blackberries or laptops. There were 3 TV networks, so you got X amount of sit-down time. Manufactured food was around. I mean, I had Cocoa Puffs as a kid, but we were eating smaller portions, and we were more active, and so there were less people suffering from the obesity issue and type 2 diabetes in children. Are you kidding me? That didn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was only in high. That was only 30 years ago. So we're a product of the advertising and the manufactured food, and I'm here to help people turn it around and get back to basics again. And that's really that's all it takes, because all these experts come in with all these degrees and they have all these formulas that work for a very small segment of society, temporarily, much of the time. So I'm just trying to step back, look at the big picture, and have people live in the real world, do it in a way that works best for their lifestyle and who they are at this stage of their life, and just eat fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, healthy fats, and find ways to make those taste good. You don't need fat, sugar, and salt. There's things called spices. Like when you get a pizza, get a big giant veggie pizza and sprinkle some Parmesan cheese on the top. You've just cut your calories in half, and it's still going to taste really good. I met a girl that came to one of my camps. She did Power 90. She didn't change her diet the first time. She lost 12 pounds. Her goal was to lose 45 pounds, but she figured, hell, I'm working out 6 days a week. Why should I change my diet? She lost 12 pounds. Her range of motion improved. Her flexibility improved. She slept better at night, but she still only lost 12 pounds. The second time she did it, she cut out red meat, most dairy, and her soda pop addiction and white flour. She lost another 45 pounds. Not by counting.
That says a lot, right?
Says a lot. She cut out most of the junk, and she said, okay, here are categories that she treated, white flour like crack cocaine. She took a dramatic stand on a particular kind of food that was not benefiting her in any way. Croissants and bagels and a lot of the cereals that she was eating, and cakes and candies. These are things that she was not eating all the time, but obviously eating too much of. She just banned them. She banned them like cigarettes, and she banned Coke and Dr. Pepper and 7-Up and all this other carbonated sugar crap. You know what I mean?
Liquid Satan.
She just cut it out. And same thing with dairy. She was a whole milk drinker, which is shocking to me at this stage of life. Anybody who's still drinking whole milk. But she just cut it out. She said, I use cheese as a spice. She said, I love that when you said that to me. She read it in a chat or one of my blogs or my mailbag or something. and she lost another 45 pounds. You know, she did the program the same way the second time as she did the first time, but she lost 45 the second time and 12 the first. It just goes to show you that the power of food, and so that's important. Second part of that equation is supplementation. Supplementation is different than pharmaceutical drugs. I mean, pharmaceutical drugs you take because you're injured or you're severely ill, but supplements are a critical piece, I think, to the puzzle because it's just what you hear in the way. It supplements the food that we're eating, and sometimes the food that we're eating, if you have a vegan chef and you're eating the exact amount of, fats but proteins, and you're getting enough vitamin B, and you're getting, your ginkgo biloba and all these different things, and your omegas and stuff like that. Most folks, I don't care, even if they're eating really, really well, aren't getting everything they need nutritionally through their food. So I take a multivitamin every day. I take our P90X multivitamin. I use our recovery drink. I also use creatine, because I'm 51 years old, and so it's harder for me to maintain muscle mass, so that's my way of doing it. I take ginkgo biloba so I can have an interview like this and not forget my name. And omegas and CoQ10, and these, that's just my formula. There's a great couple of products called microgreens and Miracle Reds, which are these super concentrated fruits and vegetable powders that I think are really great. Beachbody has a product that we did years of research on called Shakeology, and I'm not, one to promote our stuff. I don't need to. The stuff's amazing. It really is. There's 71 ingredients in there, and all of it's organic, and it's a phenomenal product. It's a great substitute for a meal. If you're on the go, you throw the thing in a blender with some water and maybe a banana, there you go. You get this tremendous meal. But supplements are key. They really are. Without supplements, the key to supplements, and I'll say it in a nutshell, they allow your body to heal so you can come back the next day, and they give you just the right amount of energy to be able to deal with the workout that you need to do. And sometimes you don't get that through your food. And that's why I take them. And that's, it's a formula. It's all these things. It's the variety, it's the intensity, it's the consistency, it's the reality, it's focusing on yoga, having a sport that helps your coordination and balance, having a plan, knowing what you're going to do ahead of time, dealing with your stress in a way, being more patient and getting more sleep so you have less stress. When you learn all these things and you apply them to your life, the world opens up to you. There are things that you can, all of a sudden you can begin to do scary things that don't kill you, Right. That's what I said. I've written another, we don't even have time for that, but I've written another seminal called The Cycle of Success, and one of them is do scary things that don't kill you. And it's hard to do scary things that don't kill you if you're out of shape and overwhelmed and not eating properly. Life becomes this, you're looking at life through a little tiny pinhole.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing, too. A lot of people confuse hard with impossible. They say, well, I'm too busy, or I can't do this, I can't do that, and if they really sit down and think about some of the things they say they can't do or that they can't take on because it's scary or whatever, it may be hard, but rarely is it impossible. Mm-hmm. And I really think people should take everything you've talked about today, which is fantastic, and really listen to it and integrate it. Now, one of the last things I want you to share, and then we'll wrap up, is purpose. As far as a plan, I'm just going to encourage people to get P90X. I'd love to have you give out some contact info of places that they should visit, anything to read, and how to track you down, get on your Facebook if they want, follow you on Twitter, whatever, read your blog. What about people out there that I think even listening to as much as we've talked about on it today, that it will really help them with their purpose? Just more that you can elaborate on that. If someone's sitting there just like going, how do I find my purpose? How do I really, identify what matters so I can start doing this? I mean, no one would have listened to this if they weren't on some level mildly interested or really interested in improving their health and improving their life. I mean, people that need this the most don't listen to it. So what do you say to the people out there that are just still feeling kind of stuck?
If you're listening to this interview and you find it very difficult to be consistent with your exercise, it's partly because maybe you don't have enough knowledge as to why exercise can open up your life and make it filled with, because for me, I like having energy and enthusiasm every day, and I don't get it any other way other than exercising regularly and eating healthy food. We cheat, beg, borrow, and steal through alcohol, drugs, and unhealthy food. So we get these short-term pleasures that lead to long-term problems. So if you're able to understand that brief bouts with a certain amount of discomfort based on a level that you can deal with. You know, like you were saying earlier, something that's hard doesn't mean impossible. But if you're willing to earn this feeling of energy and enthusiasm, and find a program that works for you, P90X, him and a trainer, I don't care what it is, you know, a spinning class, yoga, I don't know. If you're willing to make that leap, everything about who you are in your life will change. I mean, I've seen it hundreds and thousands of times. I mean, I go to a fitness camp or a seminar, and people come up to me and say, never in my life did I know that physical activity and eating right was going to change it, open up everything in my life. And so the thing is, when it comes to purpose, stop thinking about what other people think of you. Stop caring about how you look. Don't let the numbers on the scale be so important. You know, dress sizes and waist lines. These are measurements that maybe will help you keep track of your progress. But whenever I tell people that my purpose for exercising regularly is, and of course I said this earlier in the interview, and I'll say it again, and it's still true. If I work out today, my fitness improves today, and I want my fitness to improve today, and all I have to do is maybe 20 minutes or more. Okay. Improve fitness. Check. I want that. And I don't have to wait 30 days, 60 days, 90 days for that. I get it today. If I do cardiovascular exercise, like when I did cardio last night for 50 minutes, my brain chemistry shifted. Like when I'm running on the treadmill or I'm on a bike or I'm on a slide board or whatever I'm doing, I know that while I'm breathing hard and I'm in my range of 6, 7, and 8 based on how I feel that day, my brain chemistry is changing. My hippocampus brain-derived neurotropic factor is flying around. Molecules and proteins are finding each other inside of my brain, coming together and creating this amazing thing. You know, I mean, right. To me, maybe that doesn't motivate people, but when I know that I am changing my brain chemistry based on moving, oh my God, I mean that's so much better than a scotch on the rocks to me, you know?
No, I mean, I think out of all the different things that people do, escapism, you know, I heard this one author say, Poe Bronson, when I went and saw him, he said that, you know, out of all the things that people I've interviewed and everything, you know, what people want out of life is more woo and less ah. He's like, everything we do, when you boil it down, it's just more woo and less ah. And you know what? This is what you're talking about, Tony, is just proven ways to have enormous amounts of more woo in your life, and to
I live a life of woo, baby. You know,
yeah. No, to reject that is just to accept suffering, and it's not necessary.
No, it isn't. It isn't. So you know, like I said earlier, it's about improving my health. It's about improving the quality of my life because of all the beautiful things that happen inside of my brain that affects my entire body. And the other thing, too, is, you know, I just look at my parents, I look at my grandparents. You know, my parents they both have certain health issues. My grandparents certainly did not. The last 15 years of their life weren't any fun. I mean, it was a real struggle, and they were very unhappy. And I want to be very happy for as long as I can, and I understand that regular exercise and healthy eating are, you know, who knows? I don't know about longevity. I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. I don't know. But I do know that tonight I'm going to 24 sets of chest and back and feel like a hero afterward. So I'm going to feel really good afterward. I'm going to have, you know, a lot of energy as a result. So, you know, it's health, fitness, quality of life, feeling good, looking good, being less vulnerable to illness and injury. I know that when I exercise today, all of those things are in process. And if I don't get attached to the outcome, you know, I mean, I'm just expecting to do my best and forget the rest. And it just takes the burden off, you know, and it creates this amazing physiological, mental, and emotional change. And I can get that in 20 minutes to an hour. If that's not motivating enough for people, then I don't know how to help them. I'm not their guy, you know. But it seems to be working for millions of people, and the evidence is everywhere. And I would also tell folks, just to finish up, you know, come to my Facebook page. It's Tony Horton. It's easy to find, and I'm always writing in there and blogging in there. And you can go to Blogger and find my blog as well. And of course, if you come to the Beachbody website, we'd love to have you come in there because I'm always disseminating some kind of information. And there's a lot of humor in what I do, and people seem to enjoy it, and they seem to get the information, the motivation, and the inspiration they need to stick with it because it's a lifetime thing. It's a lifelong thing, and I like feeling good. I like looking good, and it requires consistency, variety, intensity, and all the other things in those 11 laws.
Well, in Dalai Lama's book, The Art of Happiness, he actually talked about how happiness is a skill that can be learned. And, there's a lot of skills that one can learn, and this is one of the most important skills that someone can learn, and they can get it all through your programs and the things that Beachbody puts out. And I'd love to hear about when your book comes out. If you're up for it, we can do an interview on that if you'd like.
Love to do it, Joe. Yeah.
So if people want to get a copy of P90X, is the best place, just go to beachbody.com.
That's the way to go. Simple and easy. Or you can go to P90X.com, and then there you'll be. And for $120, that's a hell of a thing, because what I charge clients just for one workout, I charge as much as $2,000 a workout. So and up, but I can't reveal that. But yeah,
because you might change it to $5,000 tomorrow. So
Well, I have a client that I charge $10,000 for 2 days, and he's willing to pay it because it's one-on-one with me, and he gets everything I know, and he's had tremendous results. And I have to fly all around the world to train him, but even one-on-one here at my house is $750. So for $120, you get 90 days of everything, almost everything I know. That's a hell of a deal. I don't know why people wouldn't do it, but
real quickly, just what because I think people may have this question. What kind of equipment would someone need in order to do P90X?
You need a mat. You need a space that's big enough to put a mat down on the floor. You need some dumbbells or bands. You can use one or the other. I'm a fan of dumbbells. Most women probably only need, and they're the interchangeable ones that have little dials or whatever. Those are great. But just a set of dumbbells. Most women need 3s, 5s, 8s, 10s, 12s, 15s, maybe 20s, maybe not, depending on the person. That takes up, just a few feet in the floor. And for men, I would say you probably need 8s, 10s, 15s, 20, 25, 30s, 35s maybe is all you really need. And that really doesn't take up much more room than that. And a pull-up bar. A pull-up bar is the equation. It's kind of tough for certain people, but you can go on, beachbody.com and buy our pull-up bar. Also, we sell my power stands, which is a patented product that I created because most push-up stands are just rickety and terrible, and they dig into your hands, and they don't have a good balance point. And so I created something that's rock solid on the floor, increases your range of motion, doesn't hurt your hands, and just sort of enhance the experience a little bit. So that's it. Power stands, you don't need them. It'd be great. I make a royalty check on that if you want to get them. People love them. But really, the pull-up bar, the dumbbells, and the floor, and a mat, that's what you need.
Yeah, and people can get in incredible physical shape. I already know the answer to this, and so do you. I just want to say it for the listeners that are not yet introduced to this. People can get in incredible physical shape without having to be a member of a gym.
Oh, my Lord. Professional football players, hockey players, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, they're knocking down tennis courts to build workout areas for the the Air Force men and women at Andrews Air Force Base. There's no equipment. Half of the workouts at P90X, there's zero equipment. I like to have as much variety as possible. That's why I added the little bit of equipment that you need. The dumbbells and the pull-up bar and the mat. You don't even need a mat. You just need a towel, a couple towels on the floor. Just to kind of protect your butt when you're doing certain ab and core exercises. But no, the human body and gravity. That's really what you need.
Okay, very cool. So famous last words. Someone. First off, thank you, Tony. This was great. I would encourage everyone that has listened to this to not only get it in gear and do it. Share this with anyone in your life. This interview. Because it will help them, and this truly is something that can and will transform your life. It's one thing to say, you're going to have a few benefits and stuff. It'll be beyond that. If you actually do P90X for 90 days, I can assure you will be a different person. You will be a different person physically, mentally. And if someone does do this, Tony, and you've talked about a lot of it, what can they expect? If someone really does take this on, and let's say they just do it for 90 days, and we only make that commitment, although I know it'll lead to a lifestyle and a lifelong of probably rituals and habits that they'll adopt. But really, what is the big win if somebody takes on and follows what you've talked about on this interview today?
Well, I've touched upon it a little bit here in the interview, but what I will say is, because, there's so many things, but if you had to really kind of narrow it down to just one or two, that if you start moving physically 5 to 6 days a week and you eat right, you'll have the energy and enthusiasm to live the life you've always wanted. And that's what happened to me. That's what's happened to hundreds of thousands of people, who are using P90X, or any program really for that matter, as long as they're doing it and they're consistent and they love what they're doing. And that's everything, because a lot of people in this country are struggling, financially and physically and emotionally. I mean, I can guarantee that your life will improve in so many ways, other than just, your looks, other than just physically. Regular exercise and healthy eating is the foundation to all things that can improve your life, and that's the truth. I wish I could be more profound on that, Joe, but when you hear stories about somebody who couldn't do a push-up and and lost 110 pounds, lost 190 pounds, that is monumental. That is life-altering, and all you have to do is make a plan and show up, and it's astounding what can happen. I'm proof of that. I mean, you spoke a little bit early on. I think before we started the recording, you were kind of shy and introverted. I was the same way. My first workout guys walked in the door. When I started out, I had a speech impediment. I was a C- student at best. I used to say my middle initial is S, and I used to say that standard for scared, because I was scared of everything. I had a lot of issues in my life before I started exercising, and when I exercised and ate right, they all melted away. And that says something. So.
Well, same here. A lot of similarities, and if people, some of my clients know my background, I had a very bad drug problem at the end of my high school year. I was pretty much smoking coke for about a 3-month period. I weighed 105 pounds in my worst state when I was 18 years old, and thank God I discovered exercise and taking care of myself, because I nearly died. And lots of things can happen, and you can transform yourself. And you are doing tremendous work, and I will say to everyone out there, get P90X. Yes, Tony will make a royalty off of it if you buy it. However, it's well deserved, and it's a great product. And I can assure you, when it comes to working out, if you ever hire trainers, join gyms, this will be the best money you will ever spend on direction and an exact specific plan on how to work out, and it will last for the rest of your life, and it will turn into many, many good things. And so thank you, Tony. I learned a ton of stuff today. It was great doing this interview with you. I want everyone to go to beachbody.com and get a copy of P90X. If you already have it, there's follow-ups. There's one-on-one with Tony. Everything that I've ever bought and used from Beachbodies is a fantastic product, and I'm glad we were able to do a Genius Network interview, and I look forward to everyone's comments. And anything else you want to say, Tony? I know your workout guys are waiting for you there to go hit it. So.
Well, no, Joe, I just wanted to thank you. I really appreciate what you're doing, and the fact that you're willing to go out and find folks that are at the top of their game and be able to share that with people across this country. You're an important piece to the puzzle when it comes to people just improving their lives and living large and learning and about what it takes to really be successful. And I thank you, and I thank your listeners for listening in. And hopefully we've covered some areas here that can really get people excited and get a few lights to go on over people's heads to go, hey, wow, this helped and that helped, and these things are important for me to focus on. And if we've done that today, then I'm thrilled. And that's why I'm in this business. It's nice to be successful, but when you see people who have actually taken what you've done and changed their lives, that's the best feeling in the world.
Yep, totally. Can you just say bring it? I mean, as goofy as that sounds, just maybe like bring it in some sort of seductive voice, perhaps.
I want you people, you lovers of Joe, to bring it! And do your best and forget the rest, because if you don't, life will be a bleak and horrible place. But if you do, you'll have the life you have always wanted. So, like I said, bring it.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome, Joe. All the best, my friend.
Hello, this is Joe Polish. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this interview. I hope you found it very useful. Please give me your feedback on all of the interviews that you listen to. I'd love to hear your feedback so we can always deliver a great program for you. Our website is www.joepolish.com, and we also have a Joe Polish Recommends section, so you can take a lot of the ideas and concepts that you hear on my Genius Network interview series and apply them to your business and find vendors and resources. You can go to joepolish.com to find that information and click on the Joe Polish Recommends section. And also, if you would like to find out about more interviews and invest in more useful Genius Network series interviews, go to www.geniusnetwork.com. Thanks, and eat your competition alive.